This has to be in the shots.
Question. Do you think the TMC will give Mahua a ticket to fight?
Thank you very much.
2024. She will be a footnote in the pages of history.
من علي في نري جهنم خليدين فيها أولئك هم شر أبربرية.
Man of the Year award लेके आए.
कहाँ से?
Look at him. Exposed right now.
But he's
resign.
Resign. Gender fluidity, भाई.
नहीं, जब मन किया तो ये तो non-vegetarian वाला हो गया.
What a bigot.
Non-veg. आप चिकन पाड़ते हो, जब मन किया आप मटर पनीर ले लेते हो.
Biology is bigotry. You can't do it.
Tehseen, I've caught this hypocrite again. How can he as a woman be injured when a ball strikes the genitals?
Good point.
Why
He has to
women
be a
don't
man.
have anything between their legs.
What?
Change.
Are you talking like the Chief Justice of India?
Yeah.
Okay. The Congress is not a political party that belongs to one person. It belongs to the people of this country.
It belongs to the family.
No, it belongs to the people of this country.
मैं आ रहा हूँ.
Now what are you?
भाई मैं आ रहा हूँ.
You can disagree on it. But that's the idea of the way Congress has presented itself.
If I want to say that, Anand is a blithering idiot, I will say, Arey Anand, you are the sun and the moon. You are the alpha and the omega. The nuclear fission that happens on the sun. It is not because of the hydrogen atom splitting reaction. It is actually your farts coming out and igniting out in the.
Can we please cut this?
Thank you guys. Thank you Anand. Thank you Tehseen. Thank you for coming. Abhijit, can I call you Abhijit? Okay, thanks for coming.
And
Sushant.
I'm Abhijit Iyer
Arafat.
Moitra.
Arafat? Ori Arafat?
I'm Abhijit Arafat.
Perfect.
Abhijit Arafat.
Abhijit Arafat.
Listen,
so how does
I am so disappointed. हमने सोचा था कि हमारा दोस्त होगा. He will be the hip and happening guy. This guy is such a loser. He's hanging around with people like us. The original Ori is hanging around with the...
अमीरों का Ori है वो. ये गरीबों का Ori है.
I think of myself as the intellectual का Ori.
Okay, that's nice.
Because let's face it, just one person out here, any one of us, has a higher IQ than all of Ori's friends put together.
Listen,
just not the early
the only author among us is, I think, Anand.
Abhijit. How can we not meet my friend? Oh, my friend.
Are you guys meeting in the...
brother.
Oh, my friend. This is so beautiful.
Why are you using an Italian accent, brother?
Inna Allah Thina Kafru min Ali fi Nari Jahannama Khalidina Fiha Olaika Hum Sharu Abarbriya. Ina Allah Thina Kafru min Ali fi Nari Jahannama Khalidina Fiha Olaika Hum Sharu Abrahiya.
Acha, bus. This is not...
Hello?
How many times are they doing? Okay, I think Anand, this is not... ये कुछ हो रहा है. This is beyond...
From the river to the sea. From the river to the sea. Ori will be free. Ori will be free. Ori will be free.
Okay, for our expat audience, if you don't know who Ori is, please Google and see. He's the latest thing. Okay, so this time, thank you for being part of the Samosa, the real Samosa Caucus.
Yes.
Right, not that American version.
Oh, before I forget. I have to, although I have embraced him with a bear hug that a bear would be proud of, I have to expose the shameless hypocrisy of this guy. Shameless hypocrisy.
Poor thing.
How? मैं पहले ही शुरू कर देता हूँ.
See, such Islamophobia and homophobia happening on this podcast.
Poor thing.
So this guy identifies himself as a woman, right?
Yeah.
साला Man of the Year award लेके आए.
कहाँ से?
Look at him. Exposed right now.
But he's
resign.
Resign. Gender fluidity, भाई.
नहीं, जब मन किया तो ये तो non-vegetarian वाला हो गया.
What a bigot.
Non-veg. आप चिकन पाड़ते हो, जब मन किया आप मटर पनीर ले लेते हो.
Biology is bigotry.
You can't do it. That's called buffet.
Yeah, Matar Paneers of the world unite.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, but listen. भाई ये हमने आपको तो नहीं रोका कि आप मटर पनीर खाओ। आप मटर पनीर आप खाते ही मटर पनीर हो, हम चिकन खाते हैं, हम मटर पनीर भी खाते हैं।
यही गड़बड़ है। चिकन पे
we are fluid in food.
But are you going to return the award? I'm sorry, you have to.
Why?
क्या?
Are you going to return the Man of the Year award?
Why?
No.
हाँ, award वापसी.
Award वापसी यहीं से शुरू होनी चाहिए.
Award वापसी should
मैं
start.
क्यों reward करूं? I just want to thank Barkat Rehan for giving me International Man of the Year award.
This is ridiculous. He just
That
goes there.
I see many men are now competing in women's sports. Correct. So it's only right that women also compete in men's sports.
Must
and win.
Acha.
I agree.
See, what kind of bigotry are you giving me?
No, but
Apologize
men in
or
the-
I'll get up and walk out.
No, don't walk out.
Okay.
It's
No,
too
but
early for
women can compete.
Let him walk off from here. Where
Acha,
will he
before
go?
we start the
No,
topics,
but one second. Women
हम
can
कपड़ों के
compete.
बारे में बात
Women
कर
can
लें?
compete, but not in the second trimester.
So rude.
Very
See,
rude.
I
Acha, can you please explain
I'm
your
having
outfit and then
septuplets
we'll
the
go
first
to
trimester.
first explain your outfit today.
See, I'm wearing a Farron to express my solidarity with the oppressed people of Kashmir.
Okay.
I'm wearing a keffiyeh to express my solidarity with the oppressed people of Gaza. And I was also bringing a placard to express solidarity with one expelled MP, but it doesn't suit this
Elite audience.
August gathering.
August gathering. Yeah.
Okay. Commiserations. That's all I can say. Let's go to...
But sorry, the two MPs are suspended. Again,
Yeah,
you're
two.
very biased.
Two.
You only
Yeah,
stood up for
I-
one.
yeah,
this,
sorry.
this is Islamophobic.
Yeah, it is.
You didn't
So
stand up for the
I
second.
want to stand up for both the MPs who have been expelled, one from Parliament and one from their party.
Yeah, because rise of fascism in India, right?
Yeah, because I just wanted to highlight all the axis of Mahishasuristic fascism across the world.
Why are you
I'm
wearing
very,
these?
he's very Ori inspired, I'm very Ranveer Singh inspired. So Ranveer Singh, and I get that energy. So I'm very Ranveer Singh inspired, he's Ori inspired. Together we've got Bollywood out here between Abhijit and me. The pants
Please,
are...
yaar, don't you know the latest word? It's not Bollywood, it's Urdu wood, if you would, please.
Yeah.
Bichare Urdu ke bhi... And people don't realize it's Urdu is Indian.
Urdu is Indian language.
हाँ, फालतू में anyway हाँ अभी आएगा mentions में hate.
So when when Nidhi sent us the picture of where we were shooting, I thought if I wear this, I can gel in.
Okay, perfect.
And my shoes.
हाँ.
If anyone, this is a warning, anyone steps on my toes, this is for them.
See, he's intimidating us.
Yes.
He is.
मतलब
This
वो भी
is
तो
the
है
kind
that
of,
the spike on
what
his
Abhijit
hair
would call
is matching
The
the
spike on my
BDSM
hair
or
is matching the
BDSM or
spikes on
whatever
my...
it is.
BDSM.
BDSM.
the spikes on
The
his
shoes
shoes
were, yeah.
are matching the spike on his hair.
On my
The
hair.
spikes on
Yeah,
his
yeah,
hair.
yeah.
So it's all
It's a spiky
planned.
look.
He's wearing this full San Francisco Folsom Fair get-up.
हाँ, and then
Please
now
catch
let's
the
go to
expression
the...
on
Sushant.
Sushant's face.
Or
Because nobody
check the
here
shine.
actually knows
The Chandrayaan.
what the San
Chandrayaan.
Francisco
Yeah.
Folsom Fair
The
is.
sun and the Chandrayaan is landing out there.
Yeah.
हाँ.
It's shining.
Achha, but I really appreciate that all of you wear shoes today. There's no like it's chappal and sandal and shorts. ये
नहीं
एक
वो
बार
हमारे को
podcast-
पहले बोला गया था
हाँ.
कि भाई आप ऐसे बी वेल
ढंग के कपड़े
ठीक-ठाक
घर
यार,
में
when
तो
I
टीवी
came
शो
in-
कर रहे होते हैं
when
ऊपर
I
कोट
came in
पहना होता है
shorts,
नीचे शॉर्ट्स होती
When
है
I
You
came
were
in shorts
told to
your
be well
podcast,
dressed
it
and you
was peak
came like
summer,
this.
No. This is winter. Even though we're not
as
really
good as
well
I
in
could do,
winter,
yeah.
No, he's very well dressed today.
यार एक बार ये हुआ था देयर वाज सम टेलीविजन शो मैंने वही ऊपर तो पहना हुआ था ठीक ठाक कुछ नीचे शॉर्ट्स पहनी हुई थी एंड देन दे सडनली सेड दैट ओके वी मस्ट स्टैंड अप फॉर समथिंग
Shorts.
then I kind of tried to adjust that camera and
I've got short
There's
legs.
a Congress
This is what-
spokesperson. I'm not making this. A top Congress spokesperson who would wear a jacket or a shirt on top, and below he would wear shorts and sit on his debates.
Yeah, and the cameraman, being the cruel person that he is, took a long shot and posted it on social media. And that poor spokesperson.
He's not poor.
the
Let
rich.
me just tell, he's not poor at
so
all.
that poor in the sense.
Yeah.
you
We're
know,
using it
हाँ.
metaphorically.
So
He's a doctor also.
and that spokesperson has had several such instances
Where
where
people have posted
People have
videos and pictures.
videos and posters. And when such things happen, then you, at least for me, I can't then have eye contact with that person because I'm thinking of those visuals,
images.
those images.
But what's the moral of the story? Please treat your drivers with respect. That is the moral of the story.
Yes.
Don't do anything that you don't want your driver to post.
Correct.
And if you do things that you don't want your driver to post, please treat him with respect.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. And then again, the elitist thing, jiske drivers hote hain.
I don't have. I'm a,
Chauffeur.
I came in a cab.
Okay. Right. Okay, so now shall I pass this on so that, okay, so the new rules are that I don't get to ask the question and I'm not picking. So very democratic, in a fascist, homophobic, aage badho, whatever country that
this is not democracy.
Haan.
You've already decided the questions.
The question. No,
and
no.
you already put them out there and now you are asking us to pick.
The questions,
so you've already decided. You
so
might
questions
as well ask.
are from random suggestions which have been coming up that your next podcast, you might, one of the suggestions was please get Abhijit to smoke a cigar. Can you imagine? These are the kind of suggestions which came, but these
It's a
are
good
from
idea. We should
Good
run
idea,
it, no?
yeah.
As
Cognac
long
and
as you're
cigar.
only smoking the cigar and not doing anything else that anyone else did with cigars, with people in power.
Yes.
Bill
You
Clinton.
remember that meme with Bill Clinton?
The Bill Clinton.
Where he's sitting on a desk.
Okay, this is
and
going
the-
in a
and
direction.
the-
We need to keep
the
this
line
in a
says-
family entertainment, okay?
People of the 90s would know that there are two people in this photograph.
There is also
That's true.
there's also a cigar photo of a person,
Yes.
Indian politician with a cigar. We shall not go into that.
Do I start?
So
The
you
cigar
all
always
pick
gets
one.
you into trouble.
All of you pick one, and then just pick any, and then read it, and then we'll start with
It's
Sushant.
random, Abhijit. You don't need to do that.
हाँ, just pick it.
Do I also pick one?
वो
We all
आटे
pick
की
it.
तरह गूंद रहा है उसको. हाँ, pick one. Pick.
Pick.
Pick, and Sushant, we'll begin with him.
Perfect.
Left to right.
Thank you.
You have one or two? ठीक है?
Look at him. He picked two. देख लेता कौन सा वाला.
हाँ.
Tougher है. मुझे तो सवाल पूछने हैं ना.
So we begin, कोई नहीं. We begin and then everybody can chip in. हाँ,
I
Sushant, हाँ, आप start करो.
The new breed of Indian commentations, historians, J.S.I. Deepak, Sanjeev Sanyal, Amish.
Commentariat, so commentarians. पता नहीं, कोई जो भी.
Commentations लिखा हुआ है.
Commentators.
Commentators.
हाँ.
यार जो मेरे को अंग्रेजी पढ़नी आती है यार.
समझ में
कमाल
किसने
हो गई.
लिखा है? कौन है?
पढ़ा लिखा
हाँ,
आदमी हूँ यार, इतना भी बुरा नहीं हूँ.
हाँ, think tanker है भाई, सबसे
Think
ज़्यादा
tank.
पढ़ा लिखा है.
हाँ, नहीं थिंक टैंक में पढ़े लिखे होने की जरूरत नहीं होती. Do you think they have been impactful in shaping the India story?
हाँ.
Look, I think they're starting to make a difference. There is, and not just the big names. These are big names.
Yeah.
J.S.I. Deepak, Sanyal, Vikram Sampath. Sampath has done some groundbreaking work. And I think they've done remarkable work. They are pushing forward the debate which is now starting in this country, or which has started. They're pushing it forward. They are challenging the, some of the old myths that have been constantly propagated. They're challenging it. But I think we still have a very long way to go before they can actually start shaping the narrative. It's a very good start, but I think what is actually shaping the narrative is, along with these guys, there's an entire bunch of people on social media, nameless, faceless people, who come up with remarkable information. And this is not WhatsApp University. Many of them actually give references to whatever they are quoting. And people are free to go and check. Many of them actually put snapshots of what they are, quoting. And that is actually challenging that old framework which had been made, which was that nice, कि everything was अच्छा यहाँ पर, ये 2014 हुआ, then everything went to seed. India was living in peace and harmony and everything was so nice and peaceful. Those things are now being challenged. So in some ways, social media is extremely toxic, but in many ways, it's extremely democratic. And it has brought in new voices which would have otherwise been suppressed and repressed in the media space because, the media gatekeepers never allowed people to come in.
Correct.
But I think the good scholarly work which is being done by these new scholars is quite remarkable. But I think it'll take another maybe a decade or more before, really the narrative can be shaped.
Yeah. Abhijit, do you agree?
Can I?
And,
Before,
yeah, so
before
Anand,
Abhijit.
हाँ.
Oh, sorry. It's related to the question.
Yeah, related to
Okay,
his question.
then please.
So that's what I thought.
Sure.
Let's all go through the same
Right,
questions,
got it.
and then. So Abhijit, do you agree with this? Because you go to Lit Fest. Anand also goes to those Lit Fest, and so do you. You've been doing. All of you guys have been saying what you've been saying for quite some time. but the invites never came your way. It's only now that the invitation is coming. You guys are getting a voice in the sense that you did speak about it, you did write about it, but you didn't appear on TV, you didn't come to those lit fests. Those voices are being heard now. Do you agree with that? And do you think it's a new thing, and does one have to thank Mr. Modi and the new administration which has come into power?
1 second.
2014?
I don't think you should give credit to Mr. Modi because this government has not done this.
Yes.
Yeah.
What has happened is that a climate has been created where people's voices are now being aired.
Yeah.
Okay.
I won't give this government any credit.
Okay.
It's just technology and some other things which changed, which allowed these voices to come up.
Exactly.
Do you think it would
See,
happen
I
if there was
think
another government?
it's-
Sorry. Would it happen if there was, say, hypothetically, there was an opposition?
It hadn't happened in the last 65 years.
But they didn't have the technology and the
didn't have the
democratization.
They might not have had the technology, but they had the newspapers, for example. When did the
No.
newspapers
See,
allow
so
any
here's the
kind of
issue.
a
See, even
alternate
with
viewpoint?
newspapers, it was a complete. So today when
Yeah.
we're looking at Israel, for example, there is not one news channel or newspaper that's reporting accurately. Not one, left or right. Not one is reporting accurately on what's happening out there.
You mean Indian newspapers or globally?
Globally.
Okay.
Globally. You actually have to go to the internet, and it's almost like doing primary research, because Twitter is kind of primary research. It's people speaking with their own voices with what they're seeing, and you're seeing how different that is from narratives being generated left and right. Right? Number one. Number two, remember 2014 coincided also with the takeoff of social media, which was responsible to a large extent to bringing down the previous government and truly expressing the feeling of the people. Because remember, Modi was probably the first prime minister who used to directly. Now his Twitter handles become very boring. Well, now for the last 2 days, 2-3 days,
It's become very interesting.
Emojis, it's become very interesting.
Emoji hai to mumkin hai.
हाँ, emoji है तो मुमकिन है. But before that, for the previous 9 years, it's been a very boring Twitter handle. The spark that he had before 2014 is because now he has to act very responsibly, being.
No,
prime
I think
minister and
after that
Third.
Modi melody, I think
हाँ,
it's
after
become,
melody, it's become very
it's
light.
become very light and
हमारे जॉर्जिया ने उनका दिल खोल दिया.
हाँ,
और
हमारी जॉर्जिया हो गई अब.
हमारी जॉर्जिया हो
पता
गई.
नहीं यार.
सोनिया जी आपकी
ये
नहीं हुई, जॉर्जिया आपकी हो गई. ये गलत है. I'm taking offense to
मैंने
this.
कभी भी बोला है कि जॉर्जिया
जॉर्जिया
सोनिया
आपकी
हमारी नहीं है.
नहीं, मैं पूछ रहा हूँ आपको.
नहीं, मैं
आपका ये जो इकोसिस्टम है, मुझे इस पर दिक्कत
नहीं,
है.
मैं सोनिया को भी मैं मानता है वो हिंदुस्तानी है और जॉर्जिया भी
हिंदुस्तानी है.
देखो जो इटालियन लोग
from
होता
हम
है.
वासुदेव कुटुंबकम
Mino
में
media
believe
से
करते
हो
हैं
गए.
भाई.
देखो
From
ये-
Mino media now you're Melanie media.
नो देखो मैं
That's a nice one. That's a nice one.
मैं क्या मानता है कि वो जो इटालियन लोग है वो नॉर्थ पंजाब है. ओके, वो लोग पंजाबी की तरह होता है.
There is no North Punjab.
lost.
There's East Punjab and West Punjab.
अरे इटली नॉर्थ पंजाब है. वो
ओह,
पंजाबी
अच्छा.
लोग की तरह होता है. जिंदगी जीता है, जिंदगी एंजॉय करता है.
Live life.
sounding
बहुत
like
खुल्लम खुल्ला प्यार करता है. खुल्लम खल्ला प्यार करेंगे हम दोनों. And then it's
Okay,
so
you
know
lost me.
they're like
Come back.
they're like the Italians. So I consider
come
them
back.
all this thing.
Come back.
Third important thing in all of this that has happened is, the kind of people have forgotten how repressive the previous UPA regime was. Right, you remember all those nuclear protesters, what happened to them near Kudangulam. People have forgotten, how many journalists were put on a watch list, debarred from social media, this, that. Do you remember? Shivarur and Co, Kanchan Gupta were all on that watch list and things. That has been, there's actually been a lifting of the mahal of fear.
You think that?
Next,
because
what has
journalists
happened
don't
is-
say that anyway. We'll get to
Next,
that.
what has happened is because of social media, all the narratives have started coming out, and people are seeing that you can make money. So a market opportunity has opened up in which the right-wing voices opposing the government or rather the socialist sort of Nehru Gandhian tradition that has been here are also being heard, which is resonating not just in the electoral this thing, but also the narrative thing.
Okay.
Fifth, remember, all the old lit fests and media houses still keep everybody out. let's be very clear about it. They create they create special purpose vehicles so that the twain shall not meet. One is the elite one, which is all the Rambagh Palace suites. The other one is the chota one where Trident single bedroom mil jata hai. ठीक है?
His definition of poverty is Trident single bedroom. That's the definition of poverty.
Breakfast
But
included.
Breakfast included or
I mean, Trident is poverty level, yeah?
Yeah, compared to
breakfast-
Rambagh.
ये किसने बोला ये गरीबों का हो रही है?
I'm astounded. Yes.
ये
You are the
अमीर
rich
गौरी-
man. Yeah, तुम अमीर गौरी हो.
No, but
Ori,
it's the truth.
sorry. Gori नहीं, Ori.
गौरी नहीं है।
Sorry,
And
Ori,
so
Ori.
in that, I think we have to give Modi his due. Maybe Modi did not do it directly, but Modi is a sort of enabler of all of it.
That's what even when
Yeah,
I
I
said
agree.
Modi, I didn't mean like Modi opened it all up. But what I mean is that the right wing got a voice. So now you have that equality. A left wing which has been, which had a stranglehold over the narrative
But
for so many years.
Sixth,
And then now
last
you
point.
have.
But
Yeah, sure.
that said, I think that, since very specific names were mentioned, Sanjeev Sai and all these people, we're still in reactive mode because we're fighting back against them. You understand? We have not come to the narrative setting that drives them crazy. The left has a very strategic tactic that they ignore you completely.
Okay.
They pick all the buddhus and bhondus and morons from the right and tend to showcase them as representatives of the right. This has traditionally been their technique, that they will completely ignore all the serious voices coming out of there and pick and highlight. And
But that's the case even in, say, America, when the right wing, the left wing will say
True,
that we
but-
are the intellectual elite, whereas the right wing is represented by a Trump.
And the problem is, the right still has this need for validation of the left.
What I was about to say.
Right, because remember, the right in this country is the socially upwardly mobile people. It was Narasimha Rao's reforms that created the BJP victory technically. Right, that was what created the middle class, which turned nationalistic and wanted the BJP in power. So in many ways, these are a creation of the 1990s, which seek the validation of the 1960s walas. 1950s.
अब फिर से वही शुरू हो जाएगा that Narasimha Rao was the closet BJP prime minister
Which
that
he
India
was.
has.
I mean,
He was the best
what
prime
is
minister
wrong
BJP
in admitting to it?
No problem.
Absolutely not.
yeah.
What are you talking about?
he
The
was.
two most draconian anti-Hindu decisions or acts to have been purported by any prime minister were done by Narasimha Rao.
Supported by BJP.
That's not the thing. You just said he's a closet
Anti-Hindu.
BJP.
The Babri
Places of
Masjid
Worship
fell
Act.
during Narasimha Rao's tenure.
Places
But he's
of
talking
Worship
POW
Act and the
Act.
Waqf Act. The two most draconian anti-Hindu acts ever to have been promulgated were done by
But
Narasimha
BJP
Rao.
walked out. Had BJP not walked out, the Congress never had the numbers. This was a deal done, and
It was a
Smita ji,
deal.
you would know about this, and you would know because you at least covered Parliament. The Congress never had the numbers, so it would never have passed had the BJP not walked out. It wasn't possible. This let's give the BJP credit where it's due, but also accept that the BJP was also a part of this. Maybe it politically benefits the BJP today, but they did walk out. And
Yeah, in
But-
politics, you
I
have
agree.
to make these kind of deals.
I'm-
If you want to make politics work, I know where you are coming from, Anand. And there's a lot to agree with you on what the points which you raise. But in the rough and tumble of politics, either you can then be so polarized that you're going hammer and tongs at each other and then a system collapses. Or you have to find some kind of via media where you can make things work. There will be many people who will be on your side who will say Narasimha Rao was, for want of a better phrase, Hindu-phobic. I would say that's a gross exaggeration.
No, he was not.
He was not. In
Yeah,
fact,
I'm not
most-
saying he was Hindu-phobic. I'm just saying
The
when
administration.
most of
people
the
say that
old
he was
Congress-
the
But Anand, you say that even about the current administration.
So that's why I said.
Anand,
So yeah,
let me
let's
tell you something.
get Anand.
But
to
I
Anand
wanted to
to
come back
why-
to.
No, 1 second. Let me just make one point and then I'll hand over the floor to you. The Congress party was a lot more Hindu nationalistic,
Correct.
right? And nationalistic also
Yeah.
than maybe what even the BJP was, or the old BJP, the Jan Sangh or whatever you want to call it, right? This Congress party is not even, it's.
Yeah,
I think it's a travesty to call it
I-
the old Congress.
I absolutely agree with Sushant out here. The original
Sushant
Congress.
ji.
The
नहीं
original.
जी नहीं बोलना मोदी जी
मोदी
ने
जी ने
बोला था
बोला
मोदी
नहीं।
जी ने बोला था जी नहीं बोलना
But
सिर्फ
but-
मोदी
but
बोलना है
I
तो
don't want to offend anyone. सिर्फ मोदी बोल सकते हैं या नरेंद्र बोल सकते हैं. मोदी ही बोलना है.
I don't
think you
know.
are going to be in the doghouse no matter what you say.
दोनों साइड से नहीं तो मोदी जी, सुशांत जी, नरेंद्र जी, Anand ji, but jokes apart.
2G mat bolna.
2G no 2G 3G, but no, Congress was the Hindu nationalistic party. I completely agree, and in fact that was the allegations on the Congress. That is to what were Mahatma Gandhi's
Which
last
is why the guy Bachada was taken off at one point of time.
what was Mahatma Gandhi's last words?
Arre, don't go.
No, I'm serious.
Yaar, ab ye WhatsApp wala.
Nobody knows what his last words were.
So the Congress
I know
was
what
the
his not the last words were, but what he actually
second last.
said. Yeah, second last.
I think
words.
his
But the
last
that if the
words were
Muslims want to
naughty,
kill
naughty,
all
naughty.
Hindus, then they should be allowed to
I
kill
don't
all
think
Hindus, and we
Gandhiji
will
said
usher in
naughty,
a new
naughty,
world.
I'm sure
That
he
was
No,
Mahatma
Gandhi had his
No,
idiosyncrasies.
Yeah,
So-
but
अच्छा,
I
let's
wanted
get
to.
back.
अच्छा,
Yeah, but
तहसीन की
coming-
बारी नहीं आई है.
तहसीन की हो रही है ना अभी तहसीन की बारी फिर आपकी बारी.
See, the problem
And then we'll
is,
start with you.
the problem
Oye,
is when you
अरे,
get
अरे
हो
shot,
चुकी
रुकना,
है
let
इसकी
him
बारी.
finish. हाँ.
when you get shot, people don't realize it completely punches the air out of you. You can't even say anything. Do you know that?
अच्छा ठीक है, let him.
Especially if you're
now
shot
we
in
have
the
already
chest.
gone into
Trust
assassination of Gandhi.
Trust me, those of you who
Within
have
the
played
first
अच्छा यहाँ पर
15
forensic
minutes.
science का examination नहीं हो रहा है.
those of you who have played tennis and got a ball
I played
between the legs
not got it.
know that you can't
played
speak for the
tennis.
next 2-3 minutes.
What kind
Now-
of tennis do
now
you
a
play?
bullet
You
to
get a
the
ball
chest.
between your legs. I
Do you think he
also
plays
don't understand.
anything?
What are you doing with your racket that you're getting? ball
Arey,
between
sometimes
your
you have
legs?
to fend like
Can you
this,
pl-
that and
What
all of
kind
that.
of fending are you doing like this?
Do
and
you
like
think
that?
he have a
Abhijit,
Tehseen, do you
one
think he
second,
has ever
Abhijit,
played?
that is
but
not
एक second,
tennis.
I've got him
Fending
again.
like
No,
this is
Tehseen,
not
Tehseen.
tennis. We have a woman here, not tennis.
Silence, Tehseen. I've got this hypocrite again. How can he, as a woman, be injured when a ball strikes the genitals?
Good point.
Why
He has to
women
be a
don't
man.
have anything between their legs.
What?
Change.
Are you talking like the Chief Justice of India?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, now
Fine
please.
then.
That's on the net.
point you were making.
Yes.
Can we get back to Narasimha Rao first of all?
I think Narasimha Rao was a fantastic prime minister that India had. And you have to look at all
Did he
prime
deserve
ministers.
a burial ground?
All. We have to,
Samadhi?
I'll come to that. All prime ministers or all leaders should be looked in perspective, different perspectives. Nobody's black or white. There's shades of grey. I think what he did for this country economically deserves kudos. He did take a very tough decision against protests by the BJP to open up the economy, stood by it, and I think hindsight's always 20/20. Of course, you make mistakes in while you're a prime minister. Current prime ministers made mistakes. In your show, Mr. Mishra accepted demonetization. They didn't expect. So look, you have to look at the intention. You could look at the larger goal. You can politics on the errors people make, and that's fine. But if you ask me, is any prime minister anti-national? No. Is any prime minister wanting bad of A community or B community? No. Every single prime minister, once you're sitting on that chair, all you want is for India to do well, irrespective of what party or ideology you come from.
Yeah, you might make the wrong.
You could make, and that's life. Yeah. You make wrong calls, history judges you, history judges everybody. But what do you do when you sit on the chair? And I am not willing to believe that any prime minister will put India in a dock. Any prime minister. Not intentionally. That's not true.
So now it's
That's
become
just-
like Chinese whispers. Start कोई और topic पे था.
But आपने नरसिम्हा राव पूछा.
हाँ.
Topic क्या था वैसे मैं भूल गया.
Topic was on the
Narratives.
new historians.
Where the new historians have got the. Never mind. Let's Anand
Yeah, but
answer
I
that.
mean वही हो गया ना कि इतना time हो गया कि I wanted to come to
Sure,
his
whatever,
topic, but
yeah.
I need to इतनी
Rebut
ज़्यादा बीच
that.
में गलतियाँ
तो
होती जा
पहले
रही हैं, like
उसको
a
answer
tumbleweed
करके फिर
which is
वापस
slowly-
मेरे पास
हाँ.
आ जाए.
कोई नहीं. हाँ.
So when he says intentionally no prime minister will make, fair enough, granted that. पर यार एक mistake करे, कोई दो करे, 20 करे, 30 करे तो there is some problem ना. अब नेहरू तक जाओगे तो मतलब 20-30 mistakes करे तो then something is wrong. समझ रहे हो आप? चाइना को वो दे देना, कहना कि हम नहीं बनेंगे सिक्योरिटी काउंसिल के, चाइना को बन, so many things.
The Security Council is a WhatsApp forward, bro. It's a WhatsApp forward.
I have
There
quoted
is-
from Nehru's book. So
Yes, but there was no formal. What you don't quote is there was no formal proposal ever. यार किसी ने मुझे सुशांत जी ने आकर बोल दिया आपको
सुशांत जी ने नहीं बोला था,
सुशांत जी ने आकर
प्रेसिडेंट ऑफ अमेरिका बोला,
आपको
रशिया ने, सोवियत यूनियन ने बोला,
किसी ने भी बोला फॉर्मल इनविटेशन. आप मुझे एक डॉक्यूमेंट बता दीजिए जो फॉर्मल था. There was no formal invitation.
That's not
Second.
You're
because
wrong.
because
You're
no,
allow me just
you're
10
wrong.
seconds. Just
No,
10 seconds. Just
one
10
second,
seconds.
one
I'll
second,
concede.
one
Just 10
second,
seconds.
because
10
this is
seconds.
very important.
10 seconds. 10
There
seconds.
are informal conversations which
Yes.
once you are sounded out, if
Yeah.
you're open to it,
Then you take it
then
to the
becomes a
formal
formal
stage.
stage.
First,
shall I quote him?
one second. First, even in an informal, there
quote
was
him
no
before.
formal. There was no formal invitation ever, which he said on the floor of Parliament. Number two, the China that he voted for, or the China that come in was Tibet. Was not the was Tibet, was not
Taiwan.
Yeah, Taiwan. Sorry, my bad. Taiwan.
No.
Was Taiwan, was not this China.
No, what?
Yes,
Oh my
Taiwan
God.
came
Yeah,
in.
bhai,
No,
but
This
you're
particular
wrong.
You're wrong.
No,
You're
but
wrong,
Taiwan
Arvind.
came in.
You're wrong.
Taiwan came in.
Taiwan was already a member.
Yes, so that was the one that was.
Acha, one
no.
second.
Oh,
Taiwan was
A
the one
point
that
of
came
order,
in.
Madam
Of course I
President.
have.
मेरा phone भी लियो.
Madam President, point of order.
मेरा phone भी लियो.
Madam
Madam
President,
President,
मैं
मैं
आपको
पहले
दिखाता
कोट कर देता
पहले
हूँ.
वो
एक
कर
मिनट, पॉइंट
देना
ऑफ
ना,
ऑर्डर
phone
तुम्हारे
point
लिए
of
बात कर रहा हूँ. देखो लास्ट टाइम
निधि, can I
हमारा
have
जब
my
हुआ था, एवरीबडी क्रेव्ड कि आनंद जब भी कुछ बोलता है तो हम लोग सब लोग इंटरप्ट करते हैं एंड वी ब्रेक हिज चेन
हाँ,
ऑफ थॉट.
हाँ.
सो नाउ फॉर द नेक्स्ट 3-4-5 minutes, आनंद, you have the floor. I have taken over charge and given you the floor.
ठीक है.
After that, I hand over the
हाँ,
the
आनंद को
thing
बोलने
back
दो.
to-
पता है,
पहले-
आनंद को नहीं बोलने देते.
हाँ, कोई मुझे मैं इतना बेचारा.
You will not
Good
interrupt
guys.
Tehseen.
I'm
You will
like
not
Rahul
interrupt.
Dravid. Good guys.
You
finish
let him
last.
say it,
And
then
he's
you
like
talk.
Yasser Arafat. He
Victim
hogs in
card
most
has
of
come
the
out.
thing. He looks
Victim
like,
card has
oh,
come out.
he's looking very, how shall I say this?
Now that you're wearing
Acha,
your
can I
glasses,
now you're
compliment
wasting
you,
your
please.
time.
Letters for a nation from Jawaharlal Nehru to his chief ministers. Okay, this is quoting.
Correct.
Informally, suggestions have been made by the United States that China should be taken into the United Nations but not in the Security Council, and that India should take her place in the Security Council. We cannot, of course, accept this, as it means falling out with China, and it would be very unfair for a great country like China not to be in the Security Council. We have therefore made it clear to those who suggested that we cannot agree to this suggestion. We have even gone a little further and said that India is not anxious to enter the Security Council at this stage, even though as a great country she ought to be there. The first step to be taken is for China to take her rightful place, and then the question of India might be considered separately. Unquote. This is your Prime Minister saying this.
I'll tell you what the Prime Minister said in Parliament. Give me a minute. Yeah, you finish, I'll give you.
Now, 1 second.
Okay, now what
Paji
you were
said,
saying, huh?
yeah. So now what I'll do, I still have 4 minutes left.
Yes.
I will use them to come back to your question, what you started with, but I will give this next floor to you so that you can expand on this and teach all of us, especially Tehseen, as to what the truth for this is.
On this?
Yes.
You want me to come?
Yes.
No. The fact of the matter is that it shows a kind of a naivety as far as international relations is concerned. There are no friends in international relations, right? No country is a friend of yours. Your own country is your only friend. Your own country's interests are the only interests you have to protect. No other country's interest do you have to protect. If the Prime Minister of India did not understand that, I will not accuse him of betrayal or treachery or any such thing. That's nonsense. But I would certainly accuse him of a certain amount of naivety as far as international relations are concerned, or this, overweening kind of an ambition to appear like a statesman. So I accuse him of that. The other thing is, and Abhijit I think made the correct point, that mostly what happens is that people will sound you out informally. They will ask you that we are planning to do this. Will you be on board? What do you think about it? After that, they go on to the
Sure,
formal
there's an
stage.
entire mechanism in place
Exactly.
before it goes.
हाँ, but
and before-
if I start the process
Yeah.
and then in front of the world stage you come out and say, "Nahi, I'm not interested in what
Yeah.
you're offering me,"
Yeah.
then I make a jackass of myself.
Yeah.
So this was a blunder of great proportions by the first Prime Minister. But it was out of naivety, not out of malice.
But again, you see, let me quote Ambedkar now, because people can say, "Look, hum sangi hain," jo bhi hai. I'm now quoting Ambedkar verbatim. Quote, this is in 1951, October 1951. The other center of our foreign policy which has made other nations our enemies is China. India is made to fight China's battle for entry in the United Nations organization as a permanent member thereof. This is an extraordinary thing. Why should India fight the battle of China when China is quite capable of fighting her own battle? This championing of the cause of communist China by India has been responsible for the prevailing antagonism between India and America, with the result that it has become impossible for India to obtain financial and technical aid from America. India's first duty should be to herself. Instead of fighting to make communist China a permanent member of the UNO, India should fight for getting herself recognized as a permanent member of the UNO.
Brilliant.
Unquote. This is Ambedkar.
Okay.
Now, will you say Ambedkar is also Sanghi?
Now, First of all, I don't use the word Sanghi. Now, this is what Nehru says.
Please, yaar, this is
it's a
this is a
terrible-
discussion which
yeah.
we had yesterday, Anand and
I love being called Sanghi.
No, there is
It's become a positive connotation.
there is
now-
a Sanghi, and the worst thing is that Musangi.
Yeah, that's
What is
terrible.
Musangi?
Muslim Sanghi.
Muslim
So if there is a
I
Muslim
didn't know
who's
that.
not vitriolic,
No,
मतलब वो
no,
कहीं
no.
पे centrist है.
No, Musangi
Forget
is not
about-
that.
Hello,
Musangi
I
is
coined Mujahid.
Musangi is the other side who trolls the centrist. So the Sanghi who trolls the centrist and the Musangi trolls the Sanghi.
Disgusting.
But okay,
And
let me
there are
read Nehru. Nehru's
Hindus
reply.
who start behaving
Now,
like
one
Mujahids.
second. Let me read Nehru in Parliament. There has been no offer, formal or informal, of this kind to UNSC. Some vague references have appeared in the press about it, which have no foundation in fact. The composition of the Security Council is prescribed by the UN Charter, according to which certain specified nations have permanent seats. No change or addition can be made to this without an amendment of the Charter. There is, therefore, no question of a seat being offered and India declining it. Our declared policy is to support the admission of all nations qualified for UN membership. Further to this, let me make it clear. Till
One second.
1972,
What was the
Taiwan.
date and what was the
Yeah.
date? What date was this written on?
This was in the 60s, 28th September, 50-something, 58, 15, after
Date
this.
ka pata nahi, but Nehru is
58.
contradicting
And
himself because
when is that? And
the language of that. I
So
don't
this,
know.
so I'll tell you the reference to
Nehru,
this. This is
these
right.
are Nehru's
No, 1
words.
second. This is right. Nehru writes this. I'm not denying it. This is in context of the Russian ambassador to India offering this to Nehru, but Nehru asks him that will the US, because you also need the US support, will the Western Bloc accept it? So that would not have happened. This is in context of that. In the other context that Nehru says, he says, look, if we were to go ahead with this creates a divide between China and India. The new China
and we
that
had
is to
such
come
good
in.
relations with China.
Yeah,
very
which he was trying to mend. Now you can again historically say, look, he made a blunder. I agree with that. But what was the intention? You wouldn't have got
No, sorry.
either of the two blocks. The two blocks
Now
are not
let's get
supporting
back.
him.
हम intention से ना हम उसके mind में जा रहे हैं.
तो फिर वर्तमान प्रधानमंत्री
there's
या
some
वर्तमान
shades of
सरकार
grey
के
out
बीच
here.
में
हम
देखते हैं।
intention का see when we
देखो,
talk
ये
about-
problem here
when we
is-
talk about demonetization, are we going to go into the intention?
then
of
you
Mr.
rationalize
Modi?
every
No.
decision,
Then
yeah.
everything. हाँ, it's like saying ना
Yeah,
वो
मतलब-
दिल का
So then-
बुरा-
emergency को
So then-
rationalize कर
अब
दोगे.
वो दिल
नहीं,
का-
बिल्कुल नहीं कर
वो
रहा
दिल
हूँ,
का
but
बुरा
गलत
नहीं है,
संदर्भ
मानता
में
है बीवी को ठीक है.
Salman Khurshid
Sorry,
has
I'm
rationalized
not
even
going into
emergency.
intention. Can I just contextualize both of
Please.
this? Because there are shades of grey.
Correct.
Nehru, even in the shades of grey, Nehru does not look good. And I'll tell you why. See, the problem here was the driving the driving factor of Indian foreign policy inherited from the British is that no single power bloc should monopolize the resources or territory of the Eurasian landmass. To this end, the British policy was our inherited foreign policy, which was divide and rule. You never let Russia and China get together. You always had to keep them divided, number one. Number two, at this point, China was always a permanent member right from the beginning, but that was the Republic of China, not the People's Republic of China, which is to say Taiwan and not mainland China.
Till
The
72.
proposal was that there would be, the charter would be changed, etc., and India would be made, but that was not conveyed clearly. So it was a question of Taiwan ya China,
Correct.
where failing China not becoming a member, Nehru wanted China inserted as an additional party or whatever in of that. Third, what happened out here was he was wrong. He was right in the sense that pitting China against Russia in that sense, which this would have done, it prevented us. This way, China would see us as a good party and Russia would see us as a good party. But he was foolish in that intangible actions like this, feelings of bhaichara and brotherhood, would somehow trump cold hard realpolitik that the Chinese practiced. He thought he could do all of this and get away with what the Chinese saw as encroachment in their territory. Okay. The next thing he did was, he was not a good communicator. India's love saying that he was a fantastic communicator.
Nehru
I'm
wasn't
sorry.
a good
I think Nehru
communicator.
was a
On
brilliant
foreign
communicator.
policy, he was one of the worst. You know why? All you had to do and go tell the Americans are, boss, we're playing divide and rule. Can you please let us play divide and rule out here? You are fine with the British playing divide and rule. Why are you not fine with us playing divide and rule?
Okay, so
Okay.
you know about being a
He
communicator.
could not do that.
What
He
we
could
have
not-
always,
he did
what
not
we've
listen to the
always done is
Chinese, nor could he convey to the
A good
Chinese.
orator is always mistaken as a good communicator. The two doesn't. They,
They do
don't
not-
need
they
to
do
be
not
the
go
same.
together.
Okay, so there I grant
But can I have my 3 minutes back?
Yes, can we get back to that?
Yes.
Yeah, on the topic that
On
Sushant
yes,
started with, which was a comment.
Can I just make
breed
one?
अच्छा उसको बोलने दे
Sure,
यार.
just one second. Look, we had this disagreement.
एक मिनट रुक जा.
Very just one sentence. देखो, you know this tendency which Indian leaders have that we want to be loved. We want the Chinese also to like us. We want the Russians also to like us. The Americans also to like us. You know, in international relations, increasingly you will realize it is not whether people like you. It is how much they fear you, which makes them actually, like you. So we need to understand that, but the floor is yours.
Yeah, no. So to come back to the question that Sushant Paji got, which was the new breed of historians. Are they making an impact? What was it exactly?
Yeah, I
something like that. Yeah, the paper has flown away.
Paper has flown away.
I would say to a limited extent, yes. But it has got nothing to do with this government. In fact, this government should be supportive of facts and truths coming out, but it doesn't care at all. And I'll give you the example. So yes, Vikram, Sai, Sanjeev Sanyal, so many others are doing amazing work, which is gaining rightful popularity. But the fact is, as somebody said, I think Abhi said, technology has really aided that. Because it's not that, you had Conrad Elst, you had Sitaram Goel, you had so many other real stalwarts who actually started this movement of countering the left hegemony as far as, history is concerned. But not just the common people could not hear them. The Sangh at that point of time and the Jan Sangh, they actually ignored them. So far as to say that, Mr. Sitaram Goel said very unsavory things about the RSS. Right now, BJP, I'm afraid the truth is, doesn't really care. Just a couple of days ago, this old rogue, Dalrymple, historian.
William Dalrymple.
Yes, who was famously called by, I think, was it Atish Tasir, as a giant seal in a kaftan. I've never seen a more apt description of anyone than him. He, by the way, he fled India and was tweeting during COVID from Sri Lanka, happy to have escaped and all. He just tweeted that a Persian goddess Nana, her striding atop a lion, was then taken by the Bengalis. And that imagery is then used by the Hindus during Durga Puja. So, from there. Someone like True Indology would have eaten him for breakfast for peddling such, falsities and whatever from leftist books or whatever you may call it. But what happened to True Indology?
True Indology, for those who are not on Twitter, just explain who
so True Indology was this guy who was basically a young guy who was exposing the left.
On Twitter.
And
now known as X.
And now X was just unbelievable people. So one thing you must understand.
All with text.
Everything with text. But people must understand the left does not fear Modi and Shah or Yogi because they fear them as politicians, not as scholars. The left really fears scholarship because they have a complete control over it. So they feared True Indology more than they feared anyone. And whenever he was banned by Twitter and all that, they were like literally dancing in the aisles. Yeah. But True Indology said something which many from the non-BJP side took umbrage because he said something against Miss Phule.
And
Savitri Bai Phule. He corroborated it by his textual evidence. But on the floor of the Legislative Assembly of Maharashtra, it was BJP's Fadnavis who got up and said, left to us, we would hang him.
Yeah.
Now, True Indology is no longer there. He would have eaten this guy. And let me tell you, when you talk about,
No longer there on Twitter.
On Twitter, of course, yes, absolutely, yes. I am a firm votary of the change always comes from the top. ये जितना भी आप नीचे ग्राउंड बिछा लो, सपोर्ट दे दो, जब तक जो आपके टॉप से नहीं हो रहा है नीचे परकोलेट कि look, these are the people who are doing things and let me give you an example of what I mean. When, even yesterday Jay Panda talked about when I said provocatively or whatever that BJP has done.
Enfant terrible, he said.
He called me enfant terrible and he said that what I said, BJP has done precious little for the Hindu cause and all that. He said, no, what Narendra Modi has done is he has made Hindus realize about this slavish mentality and he's, what was the word, decolonized and, the true history is coming out. Let me give you one example. I'm quoting Narendra Modi here. Quote, Best wishes to my sisters and brothers of Goa on the day of the feast of Saint Francis Xavier. May this occasion further the spirit of harmony and brotherhood in our society, for which Saint Xavier was known for, unquote. Let me now quote Saint Francis Xavier, quote, Hindu gods and their idols are as dirty as they are ugly and horrible to look at. Witnessing the destruction of temples and idols gives me so much joy, unquote. तो जब टॉप ही आदमी उन लोगों को प्रेज कर रहा है जिन लोगों ने ये सब बोला, तो जितना भी आप हिस्ट्री के सही चीज़ें आगे ले आओ, कुछ फर्क नहीं पड़ने वाला इसमें.
Okay, so to you know what you said, Sushant, that leaders want to be popular is something which he was saying that might be the need of the hour. So you have one leader who goes about hugging people and saying प्यार की दुकान, and the other side मोहब्बत की दुकान. One is मोहब्बत की दुकान, and the other side
मोहब्बत की दुकान का DNA check
अच्छा
करते
सुन
हैं
तो
कि
सही.
नहीं?
And then you said that internationally you should be feared more than that. And I was just looking, you know, this has been quoted ever so many times. It's Dinkar who said क्षमा शोभती उस भुजंग को जिसके पास गरल हो, poison, right? उसको क्या जो दंतहीन, toothless, विष रहित, with no venom, Vineet Saral Ho, who is a gentle, genial kind of a person. So
He's a pushover.
He's a pushover. So internationally that. Nationally, before we go to the next topic, which I think let's start with Anand the next time. Before we go to that, this Mohabbat Ki Dukaan, did it work in the elections? What do you think, Tehseen?
You can't classify it. It's no elections as simple as one factor will help you win. But I think
just on Mohabbat Ki Dukaan, do you think that
does it
message?
strike a resonance?
We'll go into the caste factor and all that later. Just Mohabbat Ki Dukaan, has it clicked or not?
It rejuvenates the Congress cadre, Bharat Jodo. It rejuvenates. But if you ask me honestly, does it bring a fence-sitter to you? No, it does not bring a fence-sitter to you. But the Congress cadre and your ecosystem gets rejuvenated, that you have something to speak about, and you can create a anger versus love narrative.
Okay, that's it. I want just chota answer. Then we'll go to the topic.
Quick point of
just Mohabbat Ki Dukaan. Let's just
But a fence-sitter
focus
doesn't
on
come.
this. Does Mohabbat Ki Dukaan, or is it the hardcore strong image of Modi? The two. Did Mohabbat Ki Dukaan work with Indians?
कैसे? When the same Mohabbat Ki Dukaan is now busy fragmenting India into north and south.
That's not
Kaise
the point.
nahi?
That's not the
Has
point.
it
The
worked
point is
or
very
not?
good.
What do you think? Do you
Absolutely
think
not.
It didn't click. Okay, do you think Mohabbat Ki Dukaan has clicked, not clicked, and will it click for 2024? Do you think Rahul Gandhi will stay with it?
No, and no, because the only people, first of all, understand Mohabbat Ki Dukaan has a very shady connotation. Second, which I think most Indians except Rahul Gandhi get. Second, it was only meant for certain Twitterati to fawn over in their usual style. It never resonated with anyone on the ground in the Congress. And the people using it most loud are the ones who come up on Twitter and stink up Twitter.
Okay.
So, you know, it was almost like this thing. But quick point of order before I yield. It's not enfant terrible, it's enfant terrible.
Please, yaar. हाँ. This is now.
भाई हम लोग
ये
शॉज़ेलीज़े को चैम से लेसेस बोलते हैं. तो
ये syncretic culture of
G Forge को गाय फॉरगेट बोल रहा था.
अच्छा अरे भाई वो
ये syncretic culture of France हो गया.
नहीं, there is this new place ना प्रेटे मैंजर जो इसको हम बोलते हैं.
Khete manger.
मोजे वो मेरे somebody
भाई नहीं
बोला
फैशन
जाता
में
है.
हॉट कुत्ता बोलता था पता नहीं
my
कितने
niece
सालों तक.
taught
बाद
me
में पता
that
चला
the
क्या है वो.
correct French
I have no idea. I'm not a
pronunciation.
fashion guy.
हम तो
Hot
प्रेटे
कुत्ते
मैंजर
अरे
बोलते हैं उसको.
hot dog वाला.
Prete manger and Grand Prix.
Grand Prix.
चैम से लेसेस.
अच्छा, last point. ये
मोहब्बत की
this saral image, do people want a loving leader, or do people want a doer leader who might be cruel if need be?
No, I don't think they want a
don't want
cruel
cruel.
leader.
I don't
I
think they
think
want cruel.
there is this very strong resentment against anybody who has a reputation of cruelty and unfairness. People,
Achha, when I say cruel, what I mean is that जैसे the Prime Minister,
they
his
don't mind a
supporters
one second.
ruthless.
Ruthless.
So, okay, ruthless is a better word. I
Let's
agree.
take names ना इंदिरा गांधी.
No. अभी जैसे जो चल रहा है ना, that
Right
Modi is
wingers
going
love
about,
Indira Gandhi.
Modi is going about, or Modi's administration is going about eliminating Khalistanis around the world. Now, this is something that is being said by a lot of the media, not corroborated by anybody in India, but it's being said. Do people in India appreciate that kind of a 32 दांत से ज़्यादा, 56 इंच छाती, that kind of a leader, or is India ready for a loving, hugging, mohabbat ki dukaan leader?
No, I think what India wants, what people in India really appreciate is a very strong leader, ruthless in his own way, and yet sympathetic and caring.
Exactly.
You know,
like Krishna.
somebody who combines the two things. So what is Modi's USP in some ways? I don't think the BJP has the brains to articulate it in as many words, but I think Modi's USP really is that he comes out as a strong, decisive leader, a guy who's not ready to back down when a challenge is thrown before him, and yet a guy who's caring enough with his social
for a Francis
welfare,
Xavier comment,
with his social,
which he says that
no, I'm not talking about, that is virtue signaling, but what I'm talking about is the social welfare schemes. For example, that you start off with an Ujjwala scheme. The people sitting out here, it does not matter to us, but there is somebody in some remote village for whom it matters a lot. He's thinking about that person, that last person on the line. He's thinking about, that's the impression which goes. When you are giving these,
that is that Antyodaya plan
kind of,
the last man standing on the line.
Or this whole free ration scheme. Now I know, the economic purists will disagree with it. Many will agree with it also, with these benefits which are being given.
Sure.
Because in some ways they help you increase your own productivity. They put incomes in the hands of people, they give them food grains, you address the problem of hunger. At another level, it's a bad advertisement for the government, because it means that if you are having to give free food grains to so many people, then what has happened to your growth record?
Yeah, okay.
So
now let's
has
go to
growth
the paper.
filtered down?
Let's go to the paper now.
Actually,
Second point.
I would normally do this, but I genuinely, having read the question, I think I would love to swap it with Abhijit.
Okay.
Because this is technically Abhijit's
line. Okay, so I'm going to give this to Abhijit.
No,
sorry,
this
Anand.
is quite mysterious.
And we have to shake hands.
Yeah.
like a diplomat.
What is this question?
Very
and if
interesting.
Abhijit agrees, then Abhijit.
Do you agree to take this question?
Sure.
Okay.
There we go.
So should we start with Anand?
But he hasn't read.
अच्छा आनंद को बोलने दो, नहीं तो वो comment section में आता है. You don't allow Anand to speak.
कौन?
वो सारे
सब लोग बोलते हैं.
सब लोग बोलते हैं.
Everybody cribs, and they all complain against you.
I know.
Okay, Tehseen just keeps talking nonsense.
What
he keeps
nonsense?
interrupting
What
and
nonsense?
doesn't let other people speak.
But all the comments were about you.
None about me.
The nonsense part was all about you.
No, the
I'm
nonsense-
telling you, all about you.
It was only about me challenging you because you're fake data.
What fake data?
तू देते रहता, अभी देखना,
कोई fake
आज भी
data
देगा
नहीं आज
तू,
तक.
अभी देखना.
आज तो
मैंने
he's
आज
quoting
एविडेंस के साथ दिया.
Ambedkar, हाँ.
मैंने एविडेंस के साथ दिया.
वो
PM का
evidence तेरा
स्पीच पार्लियामेंट
faulty
में. उसको
evidence
अगर
है
आप
भाई.
फेक कहोगे
There are
तो
faulty evidence है, and your
The PM gave that speech
you
in
have a problem
parliament.
of interpretation.
अच्छा चलो उसको बोलने
and
दो.
comprehension.
Comments आएगा, उसको बोलने
अच्छा,
दो.
अच्छा.
तो बोलने दो अभी.
I am standing up for Anand's right.
Yes, meanwhile. In another news, will Mallikarjun Kharge be a consensus PM candidate for the India Alliance?
हाँ.
A Dalit face and an experienced politician. Actually, there will be no consensus candidate for the PM.
Yeah.
No. I mean, as it is, they are fighting so much. You've seen what's happened to SP and Congress. You've seen the recent meeting where three parties said we're not going to go. You've seen all the supporters of Nitish Kumar wanting to say like he is the Prime Minister. If
But
they
उसके
declare...
DNA का क्या होगा?
So नहीं, why is Mr. Kharge not acceptable? अगर if in a hypothetical situation they do come.
oh, you mean after the voting? Okay,
yeah.
Okay, that wasn't clear.
Yeah, if
Right.
they come to power, something like what happened with UPA 1.
Yes.
And if everybody has to agree on somebody, like what is said is that Sonia Gandhi was not acceptable at
Yeah.
that stage, so hence
Yeah.
you had a Dr. Manmohan Singh being picked. Suppose there's an issue where a consensus candidate has to come and
Yeah.
maybe Rahul Gandhi is not acceptable or doesn't want to become PM,
Yeah.
then would Kharge be the acceptable face for a whatever
Yeah,
India
I
alliance?
think because the other advantage is that his son is also in politics. So after Kharge, it would be his son.
Oh goodness.
So, it continues that line that Congress is so famous for.
Yeah.
No,
and
but to be serious,
Huh.
yeah, I mean, in this hypothetical scenario where Modi loses the 2024 election and the India Alliance comes to power, I think, Kharge is as good or as bad as anybody else.
But Kharge
better than Rahul though.
Kharge, it will not be with Kharge, it will not be the dynastic thing, because neither Dr. Manmohan Singh nor Narasimha Rao, who were the other non-Gandhis who were prime ministers, their progeny never got into politics or never became prime minister.
No, but his kid did try. He did.
Didn't become prime minister, right?
He didn't succeed.
Kharge's son
Priyank is there, but then what I mean to say is, if Kharge ji is to become prime minister, it's not necessary that his son will become prime minister. You know what I mean? Like, it's not going to happen. Anyway, Tehseen, Kharge acceptable as India alliance?
Tehseen ko lag raha hai mera chance kahan hai.
So if
that's a better question.
Yeah.
Tehseen ka kya chance hai?
No, but can I rephrase it? Tehseen, are you going to fight the 2024 election?
Yeah.
Excellent.
I want to.
I want to nahi. Want to even I want to become prime minister.
I want to break free wala, I want to
want to nahi. Want to ki baat nahi. Aur we want so many things. Wants are unlimited.
Let's see.
Man of the year ho gaya bhai. Want to.
Na. Kisi ne socha
tha. With all his tennis shots.
So imagine
if he can be man of the year, why can't you be MP?
Yeah.
Of course I can be MP.
Imagine if a gender fluid person can become
Man of the year.
Man of the year.
With his tennis shots.
What big losers all four of you are. But
nice.
Smith, there is a reason why I started with that, because you must listen to his speech that he gave there.
Really?
Shockingly, I mean, such a shameless man, accepting the international man of the year. And for the last 5 years, all we've heard from him is, look at that misogynist, look at that, anti-feminist, me, a poor woman doing this. Wahan jaake, thank you very much. It feels great to be the man of the year.
Yeah, but a woman can be the man of the year.
Yeah. He used to be this Jarava woman from Andamans or something like that. And
Jarva.
But a woman can be a man of the year.
Acha, batao to Kharge ji acceptable, not acceptable?
So I feel in case the India Alliance does win, and obviously then the Congress has the most amount of seats, my opinion is Rahul
not
Gandhi,
obvious.
No, Congress would have. The Indian Alliance cannot win without Congress having a bulk of the seats. It's mathematically not possible.
Yeah, that is
now,
you have to give.
Now, once that happens, the Congress would make Rahul Gandhi Prime Minister. If others don't agree or accept that, then they would simply have to sit in opposition, and I think the Congress will take the decision. I think it was a good decision to make Prime Minister Manmohan Singh the Prime Minister, but I don't think that will repeat for Rahul Gandhi should the Congress get 150 plus seats. So
Kharge
I think
ji.
Rahul Gandhi will.
Okay.
I'm not saying who should be, but I think that Kharge ji won't become.
Do you think if there's a situation where the BJP doesn't win a majority, it doesn't look like that right now when we are shooting in December, but in a situation where the India Alliance gets more first past the post and the Prime Minister candidate has to be from the Congress party, do you think Kharge ji, do you think Rahul Gandhi will take a back seat firstly?
First, I don't think he'll take a back seat, which is why Modi will win handsomely. I think this time they'll cross 350, 330 to minimum. But let me also put it this way. Mallikarjun Kharge is the Congress's best bet of defeating the BJP.
Yeah.
Because the problem with Rahul Gandhi is, after Modi and Amit Shah, he's the third biggest vote getter for the BJP. Wherever he goes, 1 lakh votes go to the BJP. Okay. So, in order to reduce the Congress's negatives, Mallikarjun Kharge, when he opens his mouth, nobody takes it badly and votes against the BJP, unlike Rahul Gandhi.
Yeah, that's true.
So
even when he yells at the crowd, I've seen, the crowd also doesn't mind. Forget about
They
social
don't.
media.
They don't,
Yeah.
right? So he doesn't rub people the wrong way.
And I've
unlike
seen
Rahul
even
Gandhi.
his critics turn around and say, "Dekho, unko respect tak nahi dete."
Because see, he's an old man who commands a certain respect. He's
Correct.
won his state for the Congress several times.
Yeah.
So he's actually
and he's had a hard life.
He's had a very hard life.
Yeah.
So you have to appreciate where he's come from.
Yeah.
He's probably much more rooted to the ground and a people of the man than Rahul will ever be.
Yeah.
And
He's like H.D. Devagowda in one sense.
I think
worse.
Except that he sleeps less.
Yeah, true. He is a much better choice
Yeah.
than any of the three Gandhis, right?
I agree with you.
Yeah.
I totally agree with you. Sushant, any opinion on that?
Not too much, but look, I think I agree with what Abhi is saying, that at least as far as the family is concerned, he is a far better choice. He also is that old school Congress politician who rose up the ranks, did the hard work. He is not, unlike his son, who's got it easy. he hasn't got it easy. He comes.
And I think, don't you think that like the Aam Aadmi Party wouldn't have anything against him? The TMC would have nothing against him.
I think he would have a lot of things going in his favor, simply partly because of his experience, partly because of his social background. I think he would have a lot of things going in favor of him.
So no one's talking of Shashi Tharoor though.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah,
let's get serious.
Because I don't think that's an option.
Ouch.
But I think that I think in the Congress party.
Let's get serious. No, wait. What was that? Let's get. Somebody said we're not.
Stop it.
So one second.
You're the expert.
No, we're going to grill her. Do you think Dr. Tharoor is not serious? That's the question. Let's grill you.
No, I don't think he can ever be a Prime Minister candidate. If he gets a ticket also for the next election,
Wow.
I'd be mighty surprised.
Really?
He will win if he gets a ticket, but I think he's done with the Congress, or the Congress is done with him. But if
That's gossip.
And I don't think he's Prime Minister candidate. Dur
They
tak.
put him into the CWC, so they're
Yeah.
not done with him.
Yeah, and I don't think the Congress has any problem.
They will never forgive him for standing for a Congress president election. It's like,
But that was
it's like what
he
happened
did
with
it. He was
Pranab
asked to
Mukherjee,
still put him into
right?
CWC. But he was asked to, Smita.
But no,
so
he wasn't
Pranab
asked
Mukherjee
to.
became finance minister,
he wasn't.
right? But I don't think anybody forgot or forgave that Pranab Mukherjee
Yeah.
wanted to be prime minister
Yeah.
at one point of time.
And he resigned, he formed his own party.
So,
This was the earlier, but
anybody
that's
who
2 times she's
makes
talking
that
about.
kind, no,
She's
not
talking about 2004.
earlier. So,
I'm talking about
Yeah, she's talking
1984.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
she's talking 2004.
So anybody who makes that bid to be any kind of competition,
No, but it's not
has
valid for
to-
Shashi
he
because
will
Shashi
hang
was
around.
asked to.
So they will-
Shashi was asked to do it.
yeah, whatever
No,
it
he
is,
wasn't asked
I
to
don't
do
think
it.
he was.
But
asked.
I think the Congress should be grateful to Dr. Tharoor that he stood, even if it was a rebellious move, because that gave the election authenticity. No, I'm serious.
That
Look,
is
look.
why I'm
okay,
saying
sorry,
he was
I'm
asked to
saying-
do
I'm
it,
saying-
yeah.
Okay, I'm
no,
sorry.
it's not that.
I didn't want to be facetious,
No, it's
but-
not. It's the fact is you can say okay, the election people there was
Yeah, it
there
is
was
the
a
same
push
thing
towards
which
Kargil,
happened
whatever.
with Rajesh Pilot.
But the
Pilot
fact
also
is-
stood up
Correct.
as a dissident candidate, and Pilot fought a very spirited. He
So
had
did
a
Dr.
very
Tharoor.
spirited
Please, Mr.
campaign.
Prasada,
Huh?
Jitendra Prasada, what happened to him? He
No.
didn't even survive it.
Yeah.
But Dr. Tharoor got 1,200 odd votes, which was the highest ever anyone's ever got.
So
in
that
an
they
election.
didn't like. See,
No,
it's
no,
not
no,
a question. I'm telling you, yeah.
Nee.
He was asked to stand because of
Whether you
giving
like it or
authenticity
not,
to
in
the
a
elections.
democracy, you
But
got to respect
what disappointed them was कि यार ये तो इतने votes ले गया. That was what
You got to
actually.
respect it. Somebody stood.
Acha,
And-
okay.
But I have to tell you, I'm not making this up. This second thing on, and I'll tell you what the problem and why I do agree with the analysis that Congress or at least India Alliance will find it difficult. So I was on Shreya Dhundial's show, right? On Mirror Now. You can take names of channels.
Yes,
Shreya
yes,
Dhundial's
no
show.
issues.
And Congress comes there. So this was after the 3 states, and obviously I was very disappointed that Congress lost, and I was like, we keep making the same mistakes and all. And then the Congress spokesperson tells that, no, we have positives from this. In 3 states we've come second. And I'm like looking, I'm like, bro, we've only 2 parties fighting. We came second. That's a problem. And I said this on TV, and I was like, so sometimes I do feel that this question that you ask,
We are more loved,
This
isn't it?
hypothetical question, it is hypothetical because I don't think they've woken up and smelled the coffee.
Yeah.
I mean imagine on a serious show you say, no, positives in 3 states we came second. On national TV, live. And I'm looking at them, I'm like, no bro, we're only 2 fighting. That's not coming second. That's like losing.
Terrible. Okay, let's go to the next question, Anand.
I don't have.
You don't have a question? You took.
There.
Oh, but he
asked his
my
question.
You
question
asked
is
your question. Okay,
Oh,
so let's go to
Abhijit
you.
hasn't.
Abhijit's
you
question and my
Abhijit.
question's left.
So now Abhijit's question and
And
then we
then
go to
Tehseen's.
Tehseen's. What is your question?
Now you will appreciate
He's
my
such a wicked
sacrifice.
grin
Yeah,
he gave.
what is that laugh?
What is your question?
So this is my turn to go.
I love it. Can you do it once?
Okay, do
more?
it again,
Please
do it
once
again.
more.
That's the highlight. This has to be in the shots. This has to be in the shots.
I have a cat.
Yeah, he's.
You have a
done it.
what?
He has a cat.
Several cats.
Several cats.
Advaita.
No wonder you are.
And they've never got his tongue.
Yeah, they never have. Do you think the TMC will give Mahua a ticket to fight?
Thank you very much.
2024.
Thank you, bhai. Thank you.
Now I understand.
Was Parliament unfair to Mahua? Does she have the support of the Indie Alliance?
No wonder you gave that question.
Right.
This is so good.
Please, please.
Yes.
मेरे को lawsuit नहीं चाहिए.
Please. Just short
See,
of.
I think all of you, our informed and educated audience know that I've been at the forefront of supporting Honorable Sushri Mahua Moitra ji, columnist at the New York Times and several award winner, I have been principally supporting her for, I think everybody acknowledges that my Twitter campaign in support of her, has drummed up a lot of support for her.
Can I provide the background thing? Wow.
Now,
Okay, I'll do
You're
that.
the R.D. Burman.
Yes. I'll do
see, what the TMC has done to her is they've made her district president in that Krishnanagar constituency.
Her Lok Sabha
Nadia.
constituency
Lok
for
Sabha.
the viewers.
It's a punishment post, and I'll tell you why. She couldn't deal with Calcutta High Society. She had to keep coming to Delhi because Calcutta High Society was too much of a provincial backwater for her. Now imagine, unlike a Lok Sabha MP, a district president has to keep staying in that district and do work in the district.
Wow.
So first she got upgraded from Kolkata to Delhi. Now she's been downgraded from Kolkata to Nadia.
That's not a downgrade.
So now she'll have to deal with Nadia High Society. Best of luck to
What the hell?
Now, I'm sure the people of Nadia are very nice, but I
This
won't
is overload
wish
of wow.
that on her.
No, but
Number one.
But I
Mamta
think,
has
but I think
stood
the
by
parliament,
her, no?
yeah, I
She
think
gave
Mahua-
a
I
very
think
good
Mamta stood by.
speech.
And I think parliament and the ethics committee was unfair to her.
One
I
second.
don't
Let me
know.
finish, let me finish.
हाँ,
Hold
पहले
your
उनका-
horses.
Was Parliament unfair to Mahua? Yes and no, and I'll tell you why. Should they have given her an opportunity to speak and everything? Sure. The problem was, did she allow the ethics committee to even finish their line of inquiry?
No.
She shouted that down. She used some very unparliamentary language against them. Created a ruckus and walked out because she refused to answer the questions. See, let her throw the first stone who has not sinned. तुम खुद करोगे and then you talk about not getting a chance. तुम खुद लोगों को हरामी बुलाओगे पार्लियामेंट में and then you say, oh, look at रमेश बिदूरी ने क्या क्या बोल दिया. Boss, if I talk about other people giving me gali galoch, I have no right to do that. Have you ever seen me upbraid anybody on gali galoch? I claim to be Galidas,
Galidas,
younger
yeah.
brother of Kalidas.
You are the
What
Galidas.
Kalidas was to Sanskrit, I am to Gali. So, I can't throw that accusation at anyone.
That good.
So, it's the sheer... So, she's gotten her comeuppance. Okay. Third part of the question. Does she have the support of the Indie Alliance? In as much as anybody has the support of the Indie Alliance, it is opportunistic and it is contextual to what they think can be achieved. You mark my words, by the beginning of next week, Mahua will be nowhere in the news.
Okay, so we're recording this in the second week of December. So go
Yeah,
ahead.
so this is the second week of December. It's just been a few days, 2-3 days since Mahua has been expelled.
2 days.
2 days. So by the next week, she will not be in the news cycle. In fact, we're giving her more oxygen in this thing than the current news cycle is giving her.
Okay.
Okay. So she will be a footnote in the pages of history. Okay. She came, in her mind, she's Julius Caesar. She came, she saw, she conquered. In everybody else's mind, she is,
Was the Brutus?
This is a point that I forget that historian who made the point. See, hundreds of people crossed the Rubicon before Julius Caesar. Why does nobody remember them? Millions of people crossed the Rubicon before Julius Caesar. So she thinks she's Julius Caesar who came, saw, conquered. As far as the rest of her are concerned, she's one of those other million people who crossed the Rubicon.
So, I read on Twitter somebody saying that the India Alliance should make Mahua the Prime Minister candidate.
Oh
because
my God.
Totally! Arey
Yeah.
boss, I'm telling you.
But
She will win the election like that. I can
please
tell
don't
you,
listen to
I'm
him.
seeing
Don't
a
listen.
ground
Her,
campaign. It is Mamta hatao, Mahua lao. It is Modi hatao, Mahua lao.
Please.
Modi desh ki, Mamta desh ki, sorry, Mahua desh ki neta. Desh ka neta kaisa ho? Mamta didi, Mahua didi jaisa ho. Yeah, that.
Okay.
After
the
that,
dramatics over. Somebody said, go for the kill. Just go for somebody who can take on Mr. Modi. The pyar ki dukaan is not working. So let's go for the other extreme, which is take on somebody who can really take on Modi.
So I think
what do you
what
think?
I think what Mahua did was stupid, dishonest, You cannot share your password with somebody and allow them to frame questions for you. But she didn't get her moment in Parliament. She did not get her moment in the Ethics Committee. And I disagree with Abhijit on the fact that she didn't allow them to finish, because she wasn't allowed the right to examination of Hiranandani, whose affidavit did not say she got money, just said she got gifts. And the other guy, her ex-boyfriend's affidavit, which said that she got money, he obviously was in a bitter relationship with her. While he saw her taking money, he doesn't make the complaint. He now comes a couple of months or years later and says, look, I saw her taking money. So that has no locus. The two affidavits were actually different from each other. She should have got her moment both in the Ethics Committee and in Parliament. So I think to that point, she's been undone completely. This is, to that part, I think she was wrong. But I'll tell you what the problem with Mahua is. The problem with Mahua is she sometimes makes very good points, but it's the way she speaks that turns people bitter. You cannot disrespect people on a constitutional post, and I don't, it's A did it, B did it. It isn't the way the culture of this country is. So she is very, very, it makes people angry. It's not how you should talk about senior leaders. It's not how you should talk about the Prime Minister and Home Minister.
So it's not her manner of speaking, which is the...
It's the manner of speaking, which is
or the content. Because see, that's very wrong. There are aggressive male speakers, but somehow women are told to behave themselves.
No, this is not about male. This is not about male and women. If a male were to speak this way about the Prime Minister or a female or anybody, I would still stand up and say, or anyone of that sort, with so much of disrespect, calling them names, saying "मैं gutter में तुम्हारे से लड़ूंगा." This is not Indian culture. And let me put it the other way: the Honourable Prime Minister did not behove the post at in West Bengal by going after Mamta ji. The people of the country rejected it. This country respects people on constitutional posts. But I think she should have had her moment in the Parliament. I think she should have had a moment in the Ethics Committee. Parliament that day was a quasi-judicial body. The whip was wrong. It shouldn't have been put in. And she should have got a couple of minutes. Look, in this country, even in this country, fair point. But I'm just saying, this is the greatest country in the world that gave Kasab a free and fair trial. She could have got a trial. It's fine. Let her give a moment.
This is not a trial.
It is.
It is
Parliament
not.
was a quasi-judicial body.
You understand? This is a disciplinary hearing of an employer.
That is in Ethics Committee.
If you disagree with the employer, even Parliament is an employer. Sorry. What has happened here is this is like an employer. You know, in a posh committee, for example, you don't get the right to challenge there is no habeas corpus. Internal rules do not. She can go to court and then examine Hiranandani.
No, but the Supreme Court judgment in several parliamentary committees are that these function as tribunals, and Parliament was functioning as a quasi-judicial body. So
the point
both.
Here is she can
the
go
whip
to the
was
court.
illegal. I don't.
Yeah, but go to the court. But even assuming its quasi-judicial nature,
you should.
Even assuming its tribunal and quasi-judicial nature, the problem out here is she did not even let them proceed with their line of questioning. This could have been 2, 3, 4 settings.
We're talking about two separate things. Ethics
2, 3, 4
and then
settings.
Parliament itself.
She did not even let them finish, at which point they said, this is pointless, let us terminate this and proceed.
They refused the cross-examination.
Ajmal Kasab never disrupted his own trial.
No. They refused her the right for her to cross-examine, to summon Hiranandani and Jay.
1 second.
No, just one line. If she is suspended because she's corrupt, why is Hiranandani not behind bars? If she's taken bribes, Hiranandani is the bribe giver in this country.
Because this is a disciplinary hearing.
And the basis of that is an affidavit of Hiranandani that does not say
she is a court hearing that says Hiranandani.
Okay, one by one. Okay, let's get let's get to Anand. 1 second. No, Sushant, wait. एक मिनट रुक जा. Anand.
But seniority basis पे पाजी हैं.
नहीं यार तू बोल.
नहीं 10 सेकंड.
नहीं फिर मेरे को गाली पड़ेगी कि इसको बोलने नहीं दिया.
हाँ. Let Anand speak.
So many lacunae in what Tehseen has said. First one is when he's now, what about री आ गई? What about Hiranandani? क्यों भाई वो क्या MP था? Is there any liability that Hiranandani has here? A court can convict him. In fact, I would go as far as to say that court might also, if the court goes that Mahua Moitra has done some criminality, this guy would be the partner of that, of course. But he is not an employee of the Parliament or any other committee, so that doesn't make sense. Now,
wait, let him continue.
How was Jay there then? Jay's affidavit and Hiranandani's affidavit was the one that led to her expulsion.
अरे यार सुन लेना पूरी बात सुन लेना. I'll answer your question.
Yes, I think what Smita has said does have a point, and I'll tell you. People have made Mahua an exception, And there's a reason for that. And of course, it goes beyond the fact that for some odd reason, Mahua reminds me, have you seen those hot air dolls in front, in back and beyond car sales offices that suddenly go like, this, hawa ka ek wo aata hai, aise ho jati hai, fir dheere, aise, fir aise. So, even when she's speaking in the parliament, she reminds me of this.
But, again, yaar.
But I was coming to the point. There have been more abusive, vituperative women MPs. Mehbooba Mufti comes to mind. Nobody goes after her. She has said...
No, in the sense the content. You see, what Anand is getting to is that content-wise somebody might be more vitriolic.
Yeah.
But it's the manner of speaking. It's it's not good behavior. Because she's like moving her hands and all that. Mahua, hota hai.
But body language is like...
Body language.
Yeah.
People are picking on her.
Sushma Swaraj was one of the toughest
speakers.
People in parliament. Smriti Irani.
Yeah.
She takes people to cleaners. Right? Yeah. She is one of the most combative parliamentarians you can ever come across. The way she speaks. And she speaks very forcefully. Okay,
but it's
people who hate her, hate her. Yeah. But look, she keeps within a certain parameter of behavior.
So this is what it is. Is she getting punished for this maryada that we have for women?
But
good women should behave like this.
It applies to everyone.
It applies to
not
everyone.
just women.
Okay.
Men too.
Okay.
Men too. Because remember, you tell me one member of parliament that has tweeted Susu Potty. She tweeted Susu Potty.
Yeah.
Parliamentary
Explain please for those who are not on Twitter, what was that Susu Potty?
Susu Potty is, she was calling somebody, she was calling the Prime Minister Susu Potty Prime Minister, I think, no?
Oh God,
which is what? Urination and defecation Prime Minister.
Is this true? I didn't know this.
I haven't seen
I have not
Susu
seen
Potty.
this.
Yeah.
Is this true?
Well, she called somebody Susu Potty. I don't know if it was Modi, but she called somebody that.
See, this is terrible.
This
you
is
can't
terrible.
do this to a Prime Minister.
But this was on
to
Twitter.
Any Prime
and
Minister.
inside, she not only says harami, she called who? Nishikant Dubey harami. And then
the cameras of the parliament didn't pan to who she was calling that. So we only have press gallery and the others.
But understand how brazen she is.
I thought you were a supporter.
Every Bengali knows what harami means. Because harami we use in Bengali.
Louis Vuitton bag nahi mila isko.
No, harami is something Punjabis love using.
No, but we use it in Bengali. This is a Bengali context. So we know there is not a single Bengali who doesn't know what harami is, number one. Number two,
so
when
what
she's
is the Bengali
interviewed,
context versus Punjabi? Just for
it is the same. It is the same. There is no difference.
Harami is harami in every
Harami is harami in everything.
So why is he getting the Bengali?
But one second. When she is asked by an interviewer, a particularly dense, dumb interviewer, what did you think it meant? Oh, harami means naughty.
No, that was Sanjay Raut, Baba.
No.
No, that was Sanjay Raut.
She says...
You're mistaken.
He's watching that channel and
No,
that
Sanjay
anchor
Raut
with
tha.
great clarity.
Bro, that was Sanjay Raut. I'm telling you.
This
For
was
Kangana.
Mahua. She said naughty person.
No, I'm guaranteeing you.
Tehseen, I know what I'm talking
telling
about.
you,
Yeah? No,
guarantee.
it wasn't. It was something different.
मैं गलत बोल रहा हूँ.
You double down on your...
बिल्कुल ठीक.
You make a false statement and you double down on
He's
it.
talking about an anchor who doesn't like the idea that we have Mysore Pak on the show. He calls it the Mysore Pak Caucus. So now, have you figured that out? Now let's go.
And so what happens is...
उसको देख के सर दर्द हो जाता है.
You have a real mutt of an interviewer, so she can make an omelette out of him or her and eat them for breakfast. Going, oh, I believe it was harami. And this person goes, oh, yeah, okay, very, very bright, very intelligent. So she doubles down. She knows exactly what she's doing. And she takes great pride in breaking the rules and circumventing the rules, claiming female privilege. I'm sorry, you don't get to pull out female privilege aise waise. You can't claim society will not tolerate women abusing but will tolerate men abusing and then get away with corruption saying, oh, had a man done this, ye nahi hoga. Sorry, this is not the way it
So
works.
why is Biduri not out of parliament?
She indulged in corruption.
Of course, it's outright corruption.
Why is Biduri not out of parliament?
It's gone to the privilege committee.
There they have not called a meeting. There they have not prosecuted him.
Corruption and sharing password to Gali Galoch.
Again, if she is corrupt, why is Hiranandani not in jail?
What is
calling somebody
what
the
is-
language that Biduri did in parliament?
You
can't
can't
justify.
And what did Danish say before that? What did he call the Prime Minister before that?
And please kick Danish out. I'm not his spokesperson. I'm saying please kick him out.
उसकी party कर
उसकी
रही
party नहीं कर दिया उसको. But I am saying what holds true for Mahua must hold true for Biduri as well.
Absolutely.
That is.
But here is the point.
Yeah, one second.
Mahua has
Biduri
not
was
been
given a
kicked out
promotion.
for calling anybody harami. You understand? Mahua has been
Yes.
kicked out for sharing
ethics.
a password.
And
Mahua
sharing
has
a password
been
is
kicked
worse
out.
than
Privilege are
the
different,
language
yeah.
Vidul used.
Exactly. Ethics and privilege are two different things.
Acha, can we go to the next topic
Yeah,
now?
Tehseen
यार मेरे
I
को तो
think
बोलना
बहुत
बहुत
सवाल।
time.
हाँ,
एक
इसको
बार
I had
point
to-
to
I had
make.
to
अच्छा,
point
he
to
had a
make.
point to make,
हाँ,
and then we go to the next
मैंने
topic.
लिखा हुआ था because
छोटा करके बोलना। पर बड़ा serious
very
citizen
three
हो
very
गया,
quick
ये भूल
points.
जाता है।
Three very quick points. Number
Clear
one,
and
the
civil.
procedure
Ji.
was followed. Right, there was no deviation from the same procedure had been followed with earlier MPs who had been expelled for similar charges. Okay, so it was not as though she was singled out as far as the procedure was concerned. You have to understand this was, as Abhijit said, this was a disciplinary proceedings, and it's on the basis of that. This was not a court of law which could convict somebody. So if Jay Anand had been called and his affidavit had been submitted and Hiranandani's affidavit had been submitted, the ethics committee had no business of convicting them. They could only call them, they could summon them, they could not convict them. And if the person who is charged is not allowing the proceedings to go through, then certain consequences will follow as they have followed. Number two, on this whole issue of, you say there's no sign of cash being given.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. I've not gone into very great details. Gifts were given. Please tell me something. You become a member of parliament tomorrow. I come to you and I say, Tehseen, I need this illegal work to be done, or I want you to do something illegal. Here is this 5-acre piece of land I'm gifting to you.
True.
Is that a bribe? Is that
Of
not
course
a bribe?
it's a bribe. Except
If I give you a...
Except
Okay, one second.
Hiranandani doesn't say
that.
I
Watch
give
you
you a
will.
Rolex watch of 30 lakhs of rupees. Is that a bribe or is that not a bribe? Or is that my friendship with you?
okay, just let me answer that one
No,
question.
if you give me
No,
a 30 lakh Rolex
Sushant.
watch, I will consider it your friendship towards me.
And so will I, unless it is for a question asked, which Hiranandani says very clearly on affidavit,
कैसे prove
those
करेंगे
gifts were,
पैसे?
I'll tell you, because Hiranandani's affidavit says the gifts were given but not in lieu of questions.
Obviously, so that he
वो
can
बोलेगा
Yeah,
मतलब वो बोलेगा
Right,
questions.
yeah.
Come
I
on,
just-
यार.
I just want to
So then
point
you are
out.
convicting her
I
and
just
not
want to
Hiranandani.
point out that
Abhijit.
he's wearing a Vacheron Constantine, which is worth a lot of money.
There we
If
go.
you give it to me, it will be a sign of your
It's a
love.
PP.
Yeah.
Please, have you not
It's a PP.
noticed Louis Vuitton?
Louis.
Luis.
Louis Vuitton.
Louis Vuitton. ओए होए
Louis Vuitton
कितना
पहनने
मस्त
की
सुंदर
जुर्रत
लग रहा है
कैसे
ये,
हुई?
देखो।
With after all the trouble.
ये देखो
देखिए मैं
See,
I want to
feel-
make a
I feel
confession to you
like I
guys.
feel like
पहले
Audrey
रज़ाकार
Hepburn
था,
right now.
गज़ाकार
Do I
हो
look
गया।
like Audrey Hepburn?
Yeah.
हाँ.
You look
No,
अच्छा,
you
but एक
don't.
मिनट यार तो substantive points से deviate
हाँ.
मत कर.
And you're looking very pretty.
So the bottom line is this, that there was a misdemeanor.
Right.
She has been penalized for it. It's not going to become a major electoral issue.
won't.
It's got a very small shelf life.
हो गया.
I don't think even the party itself is going to double down on this issue. End of the story.
But
End
one,
of story.
one,
अच्छा,
one 5-second
अरे
question.
बस यार,
Just
how
to
much
leave
time?
this.
Who said this?
Do
That
you
we
think,
are spending more time on Mahua
do
than
you
anything?
think Narendra Modi and Mamata Didi had a chat about this? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, done.
I
Let's
don't
go
know.
to the next point, yaar.
Archies or Animal, Barbie or Oppenheimer. Did you watch any of these? So Oppenheimer, because I am a huge physics fan, and I'm completely into.
You're a physics fan. This is like Anand being a scientist.
No, I love physics and I love.
Anand is a
I-
scientist.
but I love.
Hello.
But I love quantum physics. It's something that fascinates.
Quantum physics also?
Yeah, I love quantum physics. It's and and I'll
He
tell you
likes
something. One second.
confusing everyone like Schrodinger's
No,
cat.
no.
Are you
Yeah.
alive or are you dead?
Yeah,
That is
yeah,
what
I
he
love-
likes.
I- so-
पर
so
वो
that's-
बक्सा के अंदर है, so we can't
So
really
you know,
tell.
हाँ,
So
हमको
that is
quantum
what he likes
physics
to
के
do.
बारे में कुछ नहीं पता.
But
Goggles
you know,
pass
the
किए
more I read about quantum, the more I'm sort of so impressed with mythology that I'm actually totally into quantum.
Okay.
So I love it. So yeah.
अब इसने
Did
इतना
you watch any of
intellectualize कर
these?
दिया हमारे को समझ
What
ही
were
नहीं आएगा
they?
क्या बोल रहा है.
Barbie,
No.
Oppenheimer,
No.
Animal, and Archies. No, right?
not yet.
He will watch Animal. He will watch Animal.
You'll watch Animal. I've watched Oppenheimer and Barbie.
You watched both.
I'm
Which
the
do you
snob.
like?
Oppenheimer.
You did, na? See?
Clearly. I don't know about quantum physics, but I liked it.
I loved it.
Barbie, I wanted to, was biting my teeth in the first 15-20 minutes, but then liked it later. But I haven't seen the other two. You've seen Archies.
You promoted the
Let's
Archies.
just say I had a very bad irritable bowel syndrome watching something that passed by. It apparently
one?
turned out
Archies.
to be Archies. Second, I will never watch Oppenheimer because my speciality in think tanking has always been nuclear security. And every time I watch a movie where nuclear weapons are involved, be it Broken Arrow, you remember
Yeah,
John
yeah,
Travolta
yeah.
and
Yeah.
Christian Slater, be it Godzilla, which is meant to be
I
nuclear,
love
whatever,
Broken Arrow.
or Oppenheimer, there will be so many fundamental mistakes
Okay.
that, it destroys your ability to, it's called the brief suspension of disbelief. वो हो नहीं पाता है. The moment they start talking, फिर you're like, अबे यार ये क्या बकवास कर दिया तूने. So I will not. Animal I'll watch. It's all about toxic masculinity and violence, and I'm a huge Quentin Tarantino fan.
And he's man of the year.
And
Yeah,
I am
man of
man
the
of the
year.
year,
He
so
has
I have
to
to
watch.
support toxic masculinity and I have to support, violence. So I support.
But Quentin Tarantino's violence is different, right? It doesn't. It's,
like mock.
actually,
It's a mock.
it's mocking the violence, and I believe Animal is not mocking the violence.
With
It's
all
an
due
intentional
respect,
thing.
Glorifying it.
With all due respect, Bollywood is a caricature of itself. There is nothing Bollywood that isn't a heavily caricaturized, exaggerated kabuki rendition of something.
What was the
else.
last
So, Shant,
Bollywood
those-
movie you liked? What was the last Bollywood movie you liked?
Dil Chahta Hai.
So, Shan, when you watch
That's like
Bollywood
20 years
movies
ago.
on national security, it's the same kind what he said, right?
Yeah.
When you see the Fauji's, when you see...
when I look at just the government offices, I turn off. कि ऐसा कौन सा government office होता है यार? They make it look like a
Shastri Bhavan.
hotel lobby or something like
And those
that.
Intel offices with 100 monitors around, and all of them walking and saying, "Ye karna chahiye, finish Pakistan right now, bomb him." Can you imagine those Intel officers that you meet? Do they do this kind of stuff?
So which is why my wife and I always have this problem that she wants to watch these movies, and I say I just can't. I can't. Right? I wouldn't say that about Oppenheimer. I'm not really into nuclear security in the way you are, but I look at the politics of it, and purely from the politics of it,
Yeah.
I found it a very well-made film. I found the politics of it kind of compelling in the sense of what was happening during that period. I didn't watch Barbie. I will not watch Animal, and I will certainly not watch Archies because it's like...
This is what it is. Sushant is a father of 2 girls, but will not watch Barbie. I am a mother of 2 boys, and I've watched Barbie.
But I want to
So
say,
those who
I want
say
to
that
compliment
Barbie is
someone
a-
here. I want to compliment Sushant Paji because
Second round.
I think it was last time we met for the Samosa Caucus. He recommended a TV series, and I started watching it. And the second season has come out. It's called Slow Horses.
Slow Horses, right?
Brilliant.
The third has come out now.
Third.
What's it about?
So it's about the
Second
MI6.
MI5.
Yeah, very nice.
Basically spy stuff.
Yeah.
Which I like.
But the one which
he
you
recommended
really
Le,
need-
Le Bureau de Légende for
Yeah,
ये जान के ऐसे
Awesome.
words use करता है,
yeah.
just to show off कि मैं क्यों
What
कर रही
a-
हूँ.
French wala jo hai na, you
हाँ.
need to watch that one.
What a
That
question.
is absolutely
Do you
fabulous.
watch
What is it
dubbed
called?
versions of South Indian movies?
No.
No?
Suryavanshi.
I
They're
haven't
quite
watched
over the
any
I
of them.
love Suryavanshi. I love Suryavanshi. The Amitabh movie. What a movie. It keeps coming on Sony all
Not
the time.
Suryavanshi, yaar.
But
Those
ये
but वो जो
I love it.
when I
B
was in
grade, C
jail-
grade वाली जो होती हैं.
When I was in
Okay,
jail,
please. That starting can't end like all of us drowning. When I was in
Okay.
jail, okay, go on.
70% of the movies were Hindi dubbed South Indian movies. And I actually liked them. Like, probably it was because I couldn't
भैया
read
जहाँ
anything intellectual.
जहाँ पर तू था कुछ भी अच्छा लगता था.
Ah, exactly.
I
But
don't think you have too much of a choice.
Choice.
Yeah, I don't
exactly,
think,
but
bro.
It was
Just to.
fine. Like, yeah.
Yeah, but
Did you see Suryavanshi?
Yeah, it was one of the movies.
Amitabh.
that-
Surya Vansham, no?
Suryavanshi, I'm sorry.
Ah.
What a movie.
It was. I don't remember what all I saw, but I enjoyed them.
Amitabh Bachchan. He played the father and the son.
Okay, let's
I
start
don't
with
remember.
Anand's second round of questions.
Second round.
You don't want to exchange it?
I possibly could, but I think it's going to trigger because I will speak here as a layman.
Okay.
The experts are there on the other side of the aisle. So I think I can take this.
Yeah, okay.
Is Indian diplomacy not quote unquote nimble footed? Did G20 summit this year raise India's profile? So second question I'll answer first. Yes, it did. I think it was a very well handled, very well executed summit, and all the things were ticked that needed to be ticked by a country as large and as aspirational as India. So I think it was very well handled. Plus, what also came across was because I went through the document, because I was in that one of the TV channels thing. So I read the document that came out, and it was meticulously prepared. And of course, it must have been prepared 3 or 4 months before the G20 summit, because the summit was just basically,
You mean the final declaration?
The final declaration.
Which everybody said that they won't reach a consensus
it was
on
down
that.
to the wire, actually.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But only on a couple of clauses.
Huh.
Yeah.
But still,
So-
the final declaration is a very important,
Very important.
document.
But it was down to the wire only on a couple of contentious clauses.
Contentious
Otherwise-
one, but that also, at least as a layman, was handled very well, because
Yeah.
it allowed people to buy oil from whomsoever they wanted.
Yeah.
So it basically overlooked the objection to the West. Is Indian diplomacy not nimble-footed? I would have said maybe a couple of years ago, emphatically yes. But in the last couple of years, I think India has started to flex its muscle, I think, on Ukraine, on the oil thing that, I think it's finally, I would say, as I say, spine grows in the back, that is against the wall. So I think the way Jaishankar, Abhi has his reservations as to what is making him, so full of bluster and bombast when he talks, like that. But I think it's good. Whatever maybe, मतलब हो सकता है कि शब्द जयशंकर के हों, बोल क्या, what is it, go बोल हमारे हैं, शब्द उनके हैं, मोदी के हैं. Whatever the thing may be, as a collective, I think it's no longer as nimble-footed as it was previously. But
it is nimble.
It is nimble-footed, you mean?
nimble-footed is when being dexterous, kind of not trying to...
Okay, that way.
It's like, I take it as a negative thing.
Oh, okay.
I would take it as a very positive.
Positive.
Oh, really?
nimble-footed, yeah.
Okay.
You don't want to.
Nimble-footed, I don't want to annoy
That you are
anyone.
that
can
you are
walk on
quick
paths.
to change according
That
to.
is a dynamic thing that,
So
you don't
it's
have
like
to
a cat walking versus a tiger walking. Let's put it that way. Cat is more nimble-footed.
No, a tiger is extremely nimble-footed. You are.
So
you're very
I thought
wrong
cats were nimble-footed.
A tiger
like,
and a cat is
like
same.
a rhinoceros.
As being
A tiger and an elephant.
being able to
Elephant.
A tiger
negotiate
and
the
elephant.
rapids well,
Okay.
or not being able to negotiate the rapids.
Okay. So I was thinking of nimble-footedness means avoiding all the obstacles.
It is that too.
It is
That's
part
part
of
of
it.
it.
That
Okay.
is part of diplomacy. I would
diplomacy.
think that you need to be nimble-footed, because the ones who are critical say that we are not. We are making these pithy statements.
So is
rather than-
is American diplomacy nimble-footed?
Yes.
Oh yeah,
It is?
absolutely.
Very.
Okay, I would have thought no. They just say what they want to say.
Because
Sometimes
All
and
unscrupulous
sometimes not.
diplomacy is nimble-footed.
Okay, so that's why.
Sometimes and
Hence, I am a
sometimes not.
layman.
No, that's
because
fine.
I got it wrong. That's why I
absolutely
said
fine.
it's possibly.
That's absolutely fine. G20, the Congress had this whole thing that it was all engineered for Modi for the elections, and this whole Vasudeva Kutumbakam was criticized too, that it was ultra Sanskritized, and again
aa gaya tha
the
beech mein.
Hindutva Bharat came in, and the lotus, that is also part of the BJP symbol, and hence it was the lotus. What do you have to say?
Yeah,
Modi should-
if lotus is part of the BJP symbol, it's also part of an Indian
Indian
cultural
symbol. It's a national,
symbol.
that's
Are we going to denounce an Indian national symbol because the BJP
associated with
uses it as? Then you should reject the India alliance because it has the name India in it.
And cut off your hand because that's Congress.
ये क्या बात है? What is this
there are-
logic here?
So
Bhik
I
kaise
think,
मांगेंगे?
I think so I do one thing every night when I go to bed. I do gratitude. I think Modi ji must be doing gratitude, thanking the opposition for raising the issues they do. Lotus, Bharat, on the parliament, शेर का दांत इतना
all
बड़ा है,
congressmen at night
और
do
का
this,
दांत
show
इतना,
gratitude.
शेर का दांत इतना बड़ा है. These are not the issues
Oh
of the
yeah,
country.
that everybody has forgotten
lion,
that.
lion का दांत इतना बड़ा है.
No, the lions on the
Lions.
parliament,
Growling,
that they are growling
growling.
lions.
दांत
They
इतना
no
बड़ा
longer
है,
the
छोटा
meek
होना चाहिए.
lions.
The issues, this country has real issues. The opposition maybe falls in the BJP trap or whatever, but the fault is theirs. The buck stops there. So I think he must be doing gratitude. But coming to your question on G20,
Yeah, how has he survived in Congress?
I think coming to
How
your
has he survived in
Yeah,
Congress
he
by
है
being
भाई
so
Congress
frank?
में.
I am totally
He's a
Congress
political
side,
analyst.
But you have
Explain
to
कर यार.
understand. अगर आप लड़ोगे, see, I'll
He's
tell
a
you what.
political
Anybody else in
analyst who
Congress
leads
saying the
towards
kind of
Congress.
things you do would have been suspended like that Sanjay Jha.
First of all, okay, no,
Can
but
he say it?
no, I don't.
Can he
But,
say it?
you
बोल
know,
दे यार.
and then
बोल
बोल देना यार.
और फिर सुनो, और ये क्या करते हैं, इनको बॉयकॉट, उनको बॉयकॉट. अरे मुझे समझ में नहीं आ रहा, हमारी लड़ाई एंकर से या भाजपा से पॉलिटिकली. So if we make an issue about these topics, then you say, why is ANI taking a bite, or why is XYZ channel doing it? You are the one who's raising it. So don't do it. They won't come to you. Don't start fighting with people. That's the first part. G20 was handled brilliantly. I think it elevated India's status.
Amazing.
You can say
Kudos.
You can say that it was rotational. You can say all of that. Fact is, India did it. It pulled it off, and that's what it is. You got to give the Prime Minister and the team credit for doing it. You know, one of my friends was supplying the cars to the G20. They got in left-hand driven cars. They trained the drivers. This was done months in advance. Then there were security protocols. To do this flawlessly, I think is brilliant. It's great India pulled it off, and I think where you deserve credit, you deserve. You should not pull on that.
And you know, there were some journalists.
Driver
just
कहता है वो
to
चला लेगा
interrupt,
भाई.
there was some
ऐसा clutch नहीं
journalists.
दिख रहा.
मैं डर गया आज. I'm not kidding. Okay, so I have to
Trained 6
I
months in
got
advance.
very
पाजी
scared.
हमारे यहाँ क्या होता होगा?
मैं एकदम डर गया आज.
सर
We are
गियर
com-
दिखाना कहाँ दिख नहीं रहा.
Please आप एक ही लेन में चलाओ.
Yeah.
I'm meditating, coming here, visualizing what I'm going to say, and suddenly I'm going. I look at your driver, and my driver from behind is going, "Sir, एक लेन में चलाइए ना गाड़ी."
Oh gosh. No, you know, to come
But it
back
was
to
brilliant.
the
Just
G20
5
organizing,
seconds. Okay, no.
the G20 organizing, there were some journalists who were really miffed. Mind you, the catering, and I'm not going to name the caterer because it'll look like I'm plugging, but the caterer had provided this elaborate khana for journalists, for participants, alag se first floor pe alag khana, niche alag khana, and there was Indian from different parts of the country, you know, kitchens of India kind of a thing. So you had different parts of the country. There was free food available.
यार, हमें ले जाते स्मिता
अच्छा
ऐसे,
सुनो तो you could
carrying your
anybody
bag.
could go and सुनो तो सही.
तू तो वैसे खाता नहीं है कुछ.
They had elaborate khana. They had tea, coffee. They had soft drinks. Now I've attended so many of these summits. You know, whether it is your ASEAN or whether it is G20 or whatever summit you go to, free khana कहीं नहीं मिलता. This is a very Indian thing, right? कि अंधाधुन खाना पीना सब कुछ, but
नान लटके हुए हैं प्लेट से.
what was the anger of some journalists who had to find something wrong? Vegetarian खिला रहे हैं. This Modi government is giving vegetarian food. अब तुमको यही प्रॉब्लम है कि तुम हड्डी नहीं चबा सकते वहाँ पे.
There was no
एक
non-vegetarian?
दिन नो नॉन वेजिटेरियन. अगर 3 दिन तुमको वेजिटेरियन दे दिया, how difficult is it? You know, the foreign delegates.
But the foreign crew had non-veg.
The foreign delegates had no issue eating Indian or Western vegetarian food. No, at the center there was. So at the center you got only vegetarian food. They had no issues at all. They were just happy eating Indian vegetarian. Or you wanted, you could have Western vegetarian. That was also there. तुमको क्या दिक्कत है भाई vegetarian खाने
Why
में
was
कुछ दिन?
non-veg not there?
That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying
I
is
get your point.
the
I have no
cribbing-
objection to it, but
the cribbing, that firstly I think it is easier because
manage.
as soon as you have non-vegetarian food in India, I'll tell you, table alag karo, usko alag rakho,
It
then there'll be
becomes a question of
sensitivities,
halal,
yeah,
non-halal.
and all kinds
And
of
see, the
complications.
halal is what complicates a lot of things, because if you have something halal, something not halal, somebody eats non-halal meat which they're not supposed to, etc., etc.
Sikhs possibly.
In that kind of a setting to cater to so many people, the logistics become so difficult. You know, what if a plate has not been washed that had non-veg or something in it? What if a bone suddenly falls into something vegetarian?
And the
Well,
tables. There are
it's
some people
horrible.
who don't like eating at the same table. Now you're talking about people coming in from so many countries. So halal, non-halal, and you're talking about
How do Western countries
tables.
or other countries pull it off?
They don't.
They
They
don't.
don't
Don't you do veg?
serve. They
Don't
don't.
you do
serve.
veg or-
You have to pay for everything, including
Oh,
water.
So to get this right, if you wanted non-veg, you could pay for it and eat.
No.
However, here what
there was no purchased khana here.
There was no
Okay.
purchase. You just ate it, so they didn't do the purchase business.
All right.
You know, even in the White House, when prime ministerial visits and all used to happen, pani tak ke liye, there's a vending machine and you pay. They don't even give you water where you can just pick up water. You have to buy your own water. Here you had so much doing. But it's, again I said, it's the Indian journalists who are so bigda hua who would say this. You know, so we have taken it for granted that these kind of summits, these kind of meetings, whether it's a CII event or a FICCI event or a, you know, any of these events, Indian journalists are so pampered. You know, so to come back to what we were discussing on G20, I think a lot of the points that Indian journalists were making were not, this time I noticed, was not picked up by foreign journalists. They did not pick up. Otherwise, a lot of foreign journalists get their cues from what is published by the Khan Market consensus. That did not happen this time.
Isn't that terrible for Indian journalism to lose that stature?
I agree with you.
But
there were some of them who were very bitter also about it. Some of
They've
these
always been
anchors
very bitter.
and journalists. Look, you know what? India should always come first. It doesn't matter whether Prime Minister Modi did it or Vajpayee ji did it or Manmohan Singh ji did it. And I think the only essence is, can we as Indians now flex our muscle and be good partners to the world, and at the same time flex our muscle and show the world we've arrived. And I think we've been doing that, and we should continue to do it. I don't think their politics should come in. It disappoints me when we see this kind of bickering on stupid issues.
Yeah. Nimble-footed or non-nimble-footed?
I want to separate G20 from foreign policy, okay? Because event management and document production are not the same as foreign policy. On the first, on G20 and document production, I found nothing to criticize except with my fellow left-wing colleagues, the menu. Yaar, millets mein rakhoge. I love millets menu, but kam se kam thoda acha to millets menu. Please get a menu drafter like me.
Include this guy
Get
in
me a
the
menu
grippers.
drafter like me that makes it sound exotic.
Yeah.
Okay.
How would you describe a millet
Matlab,
kitty?
Get a millet sushi.
Chikki ko likh do brittle.
No, a
Get a
millet.
millet
Almond
sushi.
brittle.
No.
A mishmash of peanuts
A
with-
millet tikki would be a air fried croquet of exotic Himalayan millets, served with
On a bed
Melange
of-
of
served with hari chutney and tamarind chutney. So you put
On a bed of-
served with a salsa verde de la India and
Salsa de la India.
a tangy tamarind
Sauce.
No, sauce is
Sauce nahi yaar.
so
sauce.
You're going from the sublime to the ridiculous.
Yeah.
What is the chutney?
Sauce.
And
Sauce thodi bolte
and
hain.
a tangy tamarind palate
Condiment.
tantalizer.
Palate? What?
Palate
Tantalizer.
tantalizer.
Condiment
I
par
heard
excellence.
God. So this is one side. Okay.
you don't talk like this. This is like
Second.
saying Gaumutra states.
Ah.
Fertilizer. We are going to go into that also right now.
Second
That is my
foreign
question.
policy.
How have I pulled it out?
The second is foreign policy, which is a completely
Yeah.
different thing.
Okay.
It sometimes overlaps, but it's a different thing. For me, the benchmark of foreign policy is not how many hits the foreign minister gets on your channel or Ranveer Allahabadia's channel, or how many of his YouTube. It doesn't depend on how many hits that Jaishankar produces on your podcast channel, or how many hits it produces on Ranveer Allahabadia's podcast channel.
Overload.
It depends on the size of your bureaucracy. Now, me, who's somebody
thank
who's
God for that.
anti-bureaucracy, who is anti-bureaucracy, actually wants a significant five-fold expansion of the foreign service. Why? Because your foreign service is your primary source of intel collection. You need to have deep regional specialization. Here, half the foreign service officers consider Africa postings or South America postings to be punishment postings.
Agree.
As a attitude agar hai, you cannot have a good foreign policy.
Arey, sorry to
Number one.
interrupt. You know
One
that
second,
couple.
Please,
No, no,
Anand, don't,
that
don't,
couple
don't.
who were caught
No,
and-
Anand, please don't. You'll interrupt my flow. One
Shipped
second.
off.
The second problem that happens is you are not collecting the information that is required. Even in the IAEA, for example, in the IAEA, most of the Vienna conferences, which are arms control and disarmament and things like that, 90% of the sessions you are not even represented in. Okay, your foreign policy beat reporters all live on handouts. Okay, their access depends on how realistically they reproduce the handouts as analysis. Most importantly, the feeder to your foreign policy is your universities. Udhar international relations may, if you do a degree, you don't even get the money and funding to go abroad and do primary research. So at a student level, you have not done primary research. Once you're employed, you don't have the capacity to do primary research. And because you're so overloaded, you can't do through the job training, you can't do specialization because most specializations are seen as punishment specializations. This is not how you run a foreign policy. Okay? You 1 in 5 should become ambassador. If everybody who gets into the foreign service is becoming ambassador, you have a fundamental problem. It violates every idea of accountability.
But I don't think the Ministry of External Affairs will have any objection to what you said as far as increasing the size of the MEA is concerned, because this is something
Shashi Tharoor made that proposal, 12, 15
Yeah,
years
exactly.
back? To this date, no foreign minister has the guts to implement it. Do you know why?
No, I can get foreign minister is different, but I'm talking about the ministry as far as the bureaucracy is concerned. They do want it, but then
They don't. I'm sorry. You know, the Congress opposes Hindu Rashtra less than the IFS opposes expanding the foreign service.
Expanding?
Abhi,
No,
can
that's
we go
not
by
true.
data?
That is true.
Let's take for example the people who are in the foreign service. Compare our ratio to any other large country.
No,
It
we need
is
more.
smaller than Singapore.
It is, yeah.
Kya baat kar?
Yeah.
It is
For
smaller
our,
than Singapore.
For our
Yeah.
billions,
India.
we don't
Yeah.
have enough. And you know, the other thing is,
We need about 3,000. We have 600 odd.
That's
Abhijit,
great.
It has come down from the previous administration, which was 700 odd.
every government comes to power saying we want to reduce minimum government, maximum governance is not just Modi's slogan. Every government says हम छोटा करेंगे, not realizing that you're hitting yourself.
My God.
Okay,
less
go
than
ahead.
Singapore.
I don't want to speak. I want
so
our
on the
experts.
foreign service.
Sure.
The thing is that you need to reduce the size of your bureaucracy, but you need to increase the size of your foreign office bureaucracy, right? You need to increase the size of your foreign office bureaucracy. That process has started. If you look at the kind of intakes that are being taken in the foreign service now, they have gone up by a factor of 3. Maybe still not enough, but I think that process has started, number one. Number two, I take the point which Abhijit has made. It's exactly the point I have also made to people, that look, you need to have domain speciality. There is nothing called Indian foreign policy. That's a work of fiction, right? And this is something.
So lateral entry?
No, not necessarily lateral entry. आप जो lateral भी कर सकते हो. You can take in a few people, let them serve for a couple of years. Again, some of it has started happening. They're taking in some consultants for a couple of years, then they go back into the think tank circuit. But something which one of the people who I consider to be my mentor, the late and much lamented R.K. Mishra, who started ORF. When he first recruited me for ORF, which is way back in 98, 99, thereabouts, he said, look, there are 1 billion people in India who are experts on India-Pakistan relations, right? There are not even a handful who are experts on Pakistan. If you are going to be an expert on Pakistan, I want you, otherwise I have no need for you. That is what domain speciality is, right? This is what we need to... and no country is too small.
Yeah. True.
Because every country has its own complexities. Even a Maldives, which is 400,000 or 500,000 people, has its own complexities. So you need people who know everything there is to know about a country like Maldives. And not one person, not 2 people, but at least 50 people.
You concede Maldives was badly handled by India?
One second. Let's not digress. So that is one. The second part of it is the G20. Now, the G20, from some of my friends in the foreign service, from what I've heard, it was brilliantly done, right? No quibbles on that. It was excellently managed. It did raise India's profile, but it's also created a problem. See, G20 was supposed to be this nice, sober, staid kind of an organization in which people came, they discussed certain things, and then they went. We did it in Bollywood style, right? We made a complete tamasha of it, which is good, which is our way of doing things. We took it to every corner of the country. We involved people in it. It was part of people's diplomacy. We did the kind of events which, the Brazilians have apparently complained to some of the Indian counterparts, that what you guys have done, we'll have to try and replicate what you guys have done. So
it's like I saw in Bali what had happened the earlier thing. They had this little tiny thing which, हमारे RWA association में जब दिवाली पार्टियाँ होती नहीं है वो छोटा सा, I don't mean to demean Bali.
Yeah, but that is what it was.
That's what it was. They also छोटा सा करके and finished. And then here it was like everywhere.
You took it all over the country. So yes, there was a political side to it.
Yeah.
That, there are people who look at, and this is something the Congress party misses out. The people of this country are intensely patriotic and nationalistic. when you start questioning their nationalism and their patriotism, it pisses them off.
So Tehseen, your question. Question ka hai? Gum gaya?
At the onset, I want to compliment you. The glasses look very good.
Wallah.
Is this the company that a famous member of parliament also has?
It's all borrowed stuff.
It's all borrowed.
Tehseen, you know the difference between famous and notorious?
Well,
Just for our English-speaking audience, just that.
we leave it at that.
जो बदनाम है
So-
क्या उसका नाम नहीं है?
Oh, क्या बात है, क्या बात. Wallah, wallah.
Bollywood
Habibi.
dialogue.
Habibi.
Okay, but
Okay.
then बदनाम दोनों हैं आप, तो पढ़ के सुनाइए.
सवाल भी कुछ बदनाम करने वाला ही है. North-South divide. Is it yet another feature that will be revived for the 2024 general elections?
It's yet another nail in the coffin of the Congress party.
So,
Why did the Congress support DMK on this North-South divide issue?
and there was also data expert who tweeted the
Yeah.
same and later deleted it.
Yeah.
This, I'll give you guys a story.
What? I don't know this.
Yeah.
Was this the same data expert who
Sa-
sold a dud app to the Congress?
Yes.
Oh, that data
the-
expert.
Yes.
Okay.
So I'll tell you a story. I don't know this, what was black swan and grey swan, green swan, orange swan, pink swan. But this guy in 2018 did say that Modi ji winning again in 2019 is a black swan. So मैंने पूछा black swan होता क्या है? I didn't know what it was. So this is impossible. Like, you know, black swan you see once in a while. 2014 was once in a while. Impossible. Modi ji will win again. It's a black swan event, 2014. 2019 turned out Modi ji won with a bigger mandate. The point that I'm trying to make is these guys don't realize, and what I was saying earlier, I think Modi ji must be doing gratitude every night that these are the kind of opponents he has. The North-South divide was stupid, was absolutely ridiculous, and it takes away from the Congress party being the first and the oldest nationalist party of the country. And I'm glad that the Congress nipped it in the bud, made him delete the tweet and ended it out there. It was as big a mistake as the Sanatani mistake that was made by some leaders in the party, some of them common, and it just does not behove the grand old party, and this should not happen.
You know, Tehseen, you, Anand and I were on the panel,
Yeah.
on an election panel when that tweet came out,
Correct.
and just an hour before that, that tweet was, people think that tweet by the data analyst was the first time North-South divide came in, and then again there was Karti who wrote, I think, South. And then later said it's a Wordle thing. But 1 hour before that, Renuka went on camera, Renuka ji went on camera and said that we Madrasis are called, we South Indians are called Madrasis.
And I
this
blasted
BJ
her.
Yeah, you
I
did.
blasted her on
You
it.
did. But what I'm saying is that it's not, oh, this happened separately, that happened separately. There is a concerted effort now that one more fissure. We've tried, we in the sense that the parties have tried ki caste ko bana do, caste census, usko caste ko bana do. You know, since no kind of divisive activity of Hindu-Muslim happened in this election, so let's make caste an issue. Let's make caste census an issue. That didn't click. So now let's make another fissure, which is the North-South divide. So
I don't think. Can I just
I
take
don't know.
I'll just take a minute. I don't think there's any consensus such. I don't think the Congress works like that. It isn't. These people who are repeat offenders, including Renuka ji, are not mass leaders. They are responsible for the problems the Congress party is. And I was very upset with Renuka ji on TV when you were there, and I think you clapped about it. Yeah. See, one is this divide. Second is the arrogance with which you speak on TV. No, you guys, and we are all Indians. I am from the west of India. I am not a West Indian. I think
Desai said
says this. He's south of. We are Indians, firstly and lastly. This must stop. And for these non-mass leaders to come on TV, speak with this arrogance or on Twitter, they are destroying fundamentally what is the goodwill of the Congress. And I hope the Congress realizes that. But just on the caste line, I just want to add one thing on the caste line. The Duggal Saab, Congress's advisor, the man for all seasons and all activities.
the non-Congress advisor to the Congress.
Some days Bharat Jodo spokesperson, some day RTI activist, some day farm leader, some day political party advisor, some day advisor that Congress party must die. Sunday cephalogist.
Salim Langde pe mas ro.
So he actually said,
The title of a movie.
yeah, that's true. It is. He actually said in an interview the reason Congress lost Chhattisgarh and Madhya Pradesh is because they didn't believe in the OBC reservation. Now, Madhya Pradesh already had an OBC chief minister. Prior to Shivraj Singh Chauhan ji, there was Uma Bharti ji and Babulal Gaur ji who were OBC. Chhattisgarh is a tribal state. For these guys who live, so coming back to physics, these guys live in a different dimension, in a different universe. Somewhere in the 10th or 11th dimension, and I don't think they live in this 4D universe and they realize what's going on. And living in another dimension, they come on TV and they start believing the nonsense they sprout. And I did tell Kamal Nath ji that the OBC thing is hurting Congress in Madhya Pradesh, simply because it wasn't an issue in Madhya Pradesh. And the North-South comments, I don't think the party strategizes this or has that in its mind, but these people, with these comments, with this arrogance, they completely destroy everything the party is standing for, the brand of the party. It's terrible to see it happen. It's terrible to see such non-mass people do it.
But
Anand,
one second. Explain to me one thing. One comment comes out like this, and it's almost as though a cue has been given to an entire ecosystem,
Correct.
which then just goes ballistic on this North-South divide. So are you trying to tell me that this is as innocent as some guy who didn't know or some guy who shot his mouth off and everything else happened by coincidence? Or are you trying to say that, or are you not agreeing that there was a concerted effort कि ये toolkit है, अगर ये हुआ तो this is what we will do? Because it was unusual, and the kind of people, the usual suspects.
I don't think it was something which was coincidental.
It wasn't coincidental.
Within minutes and hours, it took a life of its own. So as a South Indian dressed as an from representing
Indian from
South Indian Arab.
South Indian Arab.
South dressed as
No, Indian who is from the South. Not South Indian, यार. अब जैसा ही has made South Indian a non-acceptable
अब वो
term.
मैं गलती से मुंह से भी निकल जाएगा, South Indian लोग कहेंगे साले तूने ट्वीट किया था, तुझे गाली मिलेगी.
Indian from South India in an Arabic attire, what do you have to say?
Yeah, so as
and before anything, I must compliment you on your dandy socks.
Oh,
Very nice.
thank
These
you
are
very much.
Very socks, no? It's a
Fair eye,
Norwegian.
fair eye.
Very
Scottish.
nice. Very nice.
his socks matches my.
Yeah. Notice. Sure.
Sure. No, but you see, Tehseen has a point when he says that non-mass leaders started. But then Paji also has a point. If non-mass leaders started, right, that's the coterie of Rahul Gandhi. Let's be honest about it. Jairam Ramesh's and all those people, they won't win an election if their life depended on it. But they are the coterie. They are so-called, they've anointed themselves as the intellectuals, the force behind, So they keep coming up with all these, what's the new strategy? It takes one tweet or one direction from the mass leaders to say, shut up. This is not the way it's going to go. That doesn't happen. And what happens is, if that doesn't happen for 24 hours, that never happens publicly, the whole thing gains traction. And then you have these people like Vashne, sitting in America. They start churning out articles upon articles, deeply analyzing why South is better than North. And they obviously miss the woods for the trees, and they're completely lopsided arguments. But they start writing these articles. Then those figures from those articles get into the tweets. So it's like a complete vicious cycle that can be stopped by the Congress mass leaders, but they aren't.
But the Congress mass leaders, for example, on Sanatan Dharma.
Yeah.
The Congress mass leaders also latched on to Sanatan Dharma and started dissing it.
Who?
No, where? No. They didn't.
Mass leaders
What did Priyank Kharge say?
He's not mass leader.
अरे यार क्या है बताइए he's an elected.
He's a minister.
अच्छा कौन है mass leader
वो तो आप क्या मिठाई भिजवाएगा आपने
mass
कह
leader
दिया
in Congress
उसको.
party.
Exactly. He's not a mass
I'll
leader.
tell you, everyone who was a serious self-made leader, let me use the word self-made leader. Like Kamal Nath, for example, who's self-made. You can agree one lost. Self-made. Banda self-made.
He just rejected it completely.
Oh, he rejected it aggressively. He gave A&I bite.
No, because
he rejected it
Kamal Nath
aggressively.
realized.
Everybody. Bhupesh Baghel, they all did. Everybody.
T.S. Singh Dio.
Yeah, they all did.
All of them did.
And not just because of the vote
Not
part.
election.
They don't believe in it.
They believe in it.
Yeah, they don't believe that Sanatan is a machhar and all that. They
Yeah.
don't believe in that. Let's come back to the North-South divide. As गर्व से बोलो हम South Indian हैं. What do you have to say to this?
I'm not finished. I'm not finished
अच्छा.
because I think मैं भी South Indian हूँ ऐसे. So we had a majority
Indian
out
from the
here.
South हो आप.
3:2 majority है यहाँ पे South Indians की.
हाँ,
और हम
बहुत
divided
South
पंजाब
Indians हैं.
महाराष्ट्र.
3:2 कैसे है?
भाई हम तीनों हैं इंडियंस फ्रॉम द साउथ.
2 women and Anand.
मैं
ये तो
आधा
पंजाबी है भाई.
सॉरी तो 1.5 मान लो ये आधा है.
तू भी पंजाबी
मैं
है.
माने कैसी बात
देखो
कर रहा है.
दिल्ली में जो रहता है वो पंजाबी है.
हेलो न्यू फोन हु दिस कट सुनाई नहीं दे रहा. नो बट you see if you look at the data, you look at every parameter, this whole canard that was spread, I feel like metaphorically slapping them like Tom Jerry slapping, you know, you've seen them put them हाँ थपक क्या बोल रहे हो यार आप. कोई सेंस नहीं. और अभी केरला में कांग्रेस है, अभी तमिलनाडु में कांग्रेस कब थी लास्ट. It doesn't make sense what they talk.
Karnataka, BJP is a strong party?
BJP just lost Karnataka. For 5 years they were in Karnataka. Puducherry they still have. 30 MPs of BJP are from the south, a maximum any party. I think Congress has 29.
29.
So, I don't know what they're talking about.
में 4 तेलंगाना में लोकसभा सीट जीते.
Sorry,
आप में कितने
so,
जीतेंगे?
logic
This is nonsense. You can't do this.
There's always been a bit of a north-south divide, not politics aside, everywhere, whether in offices, schools, wherever. The South Indians who go to the north face that
Black coffee,
problem. The North Indians who go to the south face it. I mean, you remember the time when they were called lungis and stuff like that. All those have happened. But it was something that happened in the 70s and it was over. Right? It doesn't happen anymore because there is so much of movement of Indians all around. अब कोई नहीं बोलता यार ऑटो में घुसने के बाद कोई नहीं बोलता other than a few who say that speak in Kannada or speak in Tamil. Those kind of things are there, but those are those staunch parochial leaning people. But this fissure, if you keep on dividing, it's very dangerous, and I feel by 2024 we're going to have this coming up all the more.
Look, I'll disagree and I'll tell you why. I think these people are misreading. See, any large geographical country, even smaller geographical countries, have very significant north, south, east, west divides.
Yeah.
You look at America, it's completely English
And
speaking.
Europe.
And there's there's the east coast, west coast, which are united
Yes.
against middle America.
Yes.
Right? Italy has a huge north-south divide, even though they both speak Italian. Belgium has a massive north-south divide, even though that's a linguistic divide.
Yeah.
Germany has a Catholic Protestant
and
mental
if you
divide.
go to Southeast Asia, everywhere there too.
Exactly. So
Go to
this
Sri
north-south,
Lanka,
even
everywhere.
China
Yeah.
has a mental north-south divide. ठीक है? So वो छोड़ो. These guys are misreading it. See, I'll tell you one thing about every South Indian. We may make fun of North Indians, but if you're getting beaten up, we'll come to defend you. Nuclear bomb किसने बनाया?
I think Sushant is really horrified.
I agree with
South India is going to come to the defense of
No.
North India.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm being facetious,
No,
but
I know.
you know what I mean.
Indian nuclear bomb, South Indian nuclear bomb है क्या? सब मद्रासियों ने बनाया? हैं? इंडिया का सबसे मोस्ट खतरनाक जो जर्नल था वो सुंदर जी था. वो कहाँ का था? वो मेरा मद्रासी रिश्तेदार था.
इसरो.
ठीक है. इसरो सब मद्रासियों ने बनाया है. ये सैम मैनेक्शॉ कहाँ पढ़े थे, सिखाए थे? हमारे मद्रास में.
And APJ also.
और वो तो न्यूक्लियर बम, मिसाइल बम, वो सब
हो गया.
ठीक है. So it is all.
Sam Manekshaw is from my hometown.
Yeah, but he grew up in my hometown, you see.
He grew up there?
Not grew up, he retired to my hometown.
Ooty.
Retirement is
Uti कहाँ से हो गया तेरा hometown?
Same
How does
region,
retirement
same
come?
region.
I tell you, he's a genius.
How does retirement come?
Arey, we
This
have
is cultural appropriation.
कह रहे
yeah,
retire
General Timaya, all the generals,
They
yaar.
came from the
वो
south.
ठीक है.
करियप्पा.
ये कहाँ से है?
These people are misreading their local electoral supremacy as some kind of a divide where there is no divide. And you're going to see this is not going to, it may come up in 2024, but it is not going to go these people's way because, like Tehseen
It'll go
pointed out,
against them.
everybody pointing out this so-called north-south divide is a two-bit loser who has no prospects in a actual election. ये armchair पे बैठेंगे, they'll say this because unfortunately whether we like it or not, Rahul Gandhi goes by tweets, कितना retweet हुआ, क्या traction मिल
I
रहा
don't think
है.
that's true, but
These are Twitter warriors.
No, वो
Congratulations to them.
पर अभिजीत ये डैमेज कर रहे हैं.
नुकसान कर रहे हैं.
damage
It is
कर
not
रहे हैं.
damage. I'm telling you, I have
Damage to
Bhai,
the society
The Chinese,
also.
the Chinese
It's
came and
irritating.
thrashed us in
Society,
62.
country,
Did
but-
it damage us as a country?
Is it not irritating? I mean, for 2 days this damn
No,
thing
no,
goes
मच्छर
on.
irritating होता है, but
No, it damages us. It damages us as a country.
no, it shows
It
these
does
people
damage
as
us.
pygmies. It damages the Congress. It does not damage us. Because trust me on this, I think there is enough academic literature to show what Huntington wrote about, that a country on the ascendant tends to suppress willingly. It is not forced from the top. suppress subnational tendencies. They tend to think together. They tend to grow together. You will not see this say this might become an issue after we've developed. Right now, through the development phase, anthropologically, I do not see this.
I'll tell you why I disagree with you. I do disagree with you because different regions in India economically differently developed and slightly more progressive, as opposed to say in Italy, which is homogeneous in a language wise, and while there may be difference in economic strata, it's not as widespread as in India.
But you know
that could become fodder for hate. That is my
Yeah.
limited
exact
problem.
opposite.
You could
exact
start
opposite. Italy is
Gaumutra
not
drinkers,
homogeneous.
fertility high,
no,
and that's why no development.
I think it's
These
very
kind of
important. I think
these
it's very
So why
important
did,
to
so why did
address
Congress
this
lose in?
question.
So why
Demeaning-
did Congress lose in Mizoram 2 and BJP won 2? You tweeted, I think, Anand.
Yeah.
The 98%. So look,
तो वही तो मैं
we
बोल
have
रहा
to
हूँ.
look inside
They're
and-
going to go over this. This is
we
not
have
going
to
to
look
affect us now as a
inside.
country.
I want Congress to do well, but we have to look inside. And whose brand image are we spoiling? If you look at it purely as a brand, what was the Congress brand? That it was a political party, or it was a party that started, that united diverse voices. It was the Big Tent, often called the Ganga or the Big Tent. All voices could come in. The centrist party on a nationalistic platform that took the freedom movement forward. That's the Congress basic idea.
मैं आ रहा हूँ
Now
इसमें।
what are you?
भाई
No,
मैं
no,
आ रहा
you
हूँ।
can, you can disagree on it, but that's the
भाई।
idea or the way Congress has presented itself. Today you're damaging that.
That
brand.
was its USP.
Yeah, you're damaging it, and these people have no right to damage. The Congress is not a political party that belongs to one person. It belongs to the people of this
It
country.
belongs to the family.
No,
but
it belongs to the people of this country. And when you damage
I'm
it,
gonna
you're
drown
damaging this
in
country.
this.
यार, मेरा question
I'm going to
Oh,
drown
abhi
in
hai?
this syrupy,
Achha,
sugary.
sorry.
Mera bhi hai.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
This
So
was
we're
my
gonna
count.
But
Next-
mera
next-
question, I think my question should come after
yeah,
this north-south one.
No, but before he.
Okay,
I
last
can't-
point, Anand, and then we go to the next
Yes,
questions.
I can't let him get
Okay,
away with saying that
last
Congress party is the party of Gandhi, Nehru, Patel, freedom. Sorry. This Congress is the Congress I of Indira Gandhi. The original Congress party of freedom struggle throughout Indira Gandhi, she made Congress R requisitionists. Congress R declared the emergency. After that came Congress O, then Congress S, then Congress J. For 10 years, Congress J was called the Congress of Freedom, Jagjeevan Ramwali. Then came Congress I. ये Congress I
that
की
was
है.
Congress for Democracy. Jagjeevan
So
Ram was
the
Congress
legacy
for-
of your Congress is emergency,
अरे
bro.
इंदिरा जी,
It's not
नेहरू जी की
freedom.
बेटी थी ना?
तो family की party हुई ना?
Family party है यार. Freedom
अच्छा,
struggle.
next
DNA
question.
वही है ना?
Next question.
नहीं, my question is related to this.
हाँ.
10 years on, it is still Modi versus Rahul. If Rahul was so ineffective, why has the opposition not found another candidate? Does that mean Rahul में कुछ तो बात है?
हाँ, 10 साल से सिर्फ राहुल ही चल रहा है ना.
कुछ तो
भाई
है.
देखो ऐसे है, one is the dynastic part. How do you replace the heir apparent when the family is not ready to let go? Right? The family is not ready to professionalize the organization. And even if you've appointed a new chief, he basically is so beholden to the family that he is just not going to he's not ready to come into his own. And we've seen that in the way the rest of the party responds to the family versus to the rest of the party hierarchy. I think it's a kind of a death wish that the party has, and you can give somebody a second chance, a third chance, but chance after chance after chance, and then we have people like Tehseen who will go down to what exactly is affecting the party, but will never question the party leadership, because then you are not going to be in the party, right? That ticket that he is hankering for, he is not going to get. You're not hankering for it, okay? Or you're hoping for it.
Breaking news. Tehseen will not accept elected office in any form or way.
No, but so the point is that at the end of the day, if everything is going wrong, and you are not ready to say, and you are ready to say whatever has gone wrong, and then you say, if I appoint an advisor who's giving me wrong advice, and that advice is bombing advice after advice, then whose fault is it? Is it my fault for keeping him on as an advisor and listening to that guy? Or is it the advisor's fault for giving me wrong advice? So as the party head, at least in all practical ways, if I am not ready to change the advisor and I'm not ready to take sensible advice, then the fault lies with me. अब कुछ तो बात है
राहुल में.
अब वो बात ठीक है कि गलत है, वो that's a different question. But look, but one second. Between when you compare a person like Modi with a person like Rahul, I think there's something deeper which is also happening in this country. There's a lot of churn taking place. There's an entire new generation of people who look down upon entitlement, who question it. People who are self-made men. Most of your billionaires today are not people who've got it as legacy. So much so that even a guy like this guy, Mukesh Ambani, he has taken his company manifold up. Despite having inherited the company, which was a fabulously successful company, but look where he has taken that company.
Whereas the other brother took it down.
Yeah. So there is the competence factor, right? You look at a guy like Adani. People will say whatever they will say, but he has built a fabulous company. Okay, nothing you can do. You can't question the assets of the company. But in every stage of this, every aspect of this country, you will see people climbing up on their own. So Modi is a guy who has risen up the ranks. The other day this fellow, what's his name, Prashant Kishore, a very astute political observer, I must say. You might disagree with him on many things, but I think he's an amazingly astute political observer. When he talks about Modi's experience, starting as a pracharak and then, as a party functionary, then as a chief minister, then as a prime minister, look at the kind of wealth of experience he gets with him. You're comparing it with somebody who loses an election and goes on a holiday.
He's not gone. He's cancelled.
No, he has not gone because of...
Tell me one thing. He was supposed to go to Southeast Asia or something. Anyway, it doesn't matter. What I want to get to is that, is there any talk at all in the Congress or in the India alliance that it is possible to think beyond Rahul Gandhi if Rahul Gandhi is not clicked in so many elections?
I don't think the India alliance is putting forward a prime ministerial candidate as of now. But I do think, and what I think the India alliance should do is put forward, if you can't compete on prime minister, at least a shadow cabinet to take on this cabinet. That is something they should have done by November. They're too late, but they need to do it now. At least now have a shadow cabinet to articulate your point of view and your vision to the people before what the BJP did. So don't have a common minimum program, that's negative. Have a vision document. So it'll be fantastic, a Shashi Tharoor versus a Jai Shankar. Nirmala Sitharaman versus whoever else, and Amit Shah ji versus an Akhilesh Yadav ji. Whether you like it or no, you have a perspective. Give a shadow cabinet. Give it and allow them to take them on. That is how this election
is it possible, Abhijit, to have a shadow cabinet? And why is it that there is no alternative to Rahul Gandhi? So, does that mean Rahul mein koi baat hai?
No, but institutional capture mein koi baat hota hai. And I'll tell you why. This is the same reason that despite Venezuela going down, they'll keep voting for Hugo Chavez and Nicolas Maduro. Okay? And then, of course, there is a combination key. It is also like Cuba, that despite them going down, they don't have an option to vote for anybody else. It's a combination of both factors out here, right? These people, the family has executed a full institutional capture of everything out here, which is why their vote share has gone down. It is not performance that's being rewarded anymore. It is loyalty to the family that is being rewarded these days, right? Now, they can't even tolerate an articulate chap like Shashi Tharoor running for president. They can't even when jab khud ka cabinet hai, the Yuvraj goes and tears up a document that the cabinet has passed. You think they'll tolerate a shadow cabinet of any kind? No, whatever anybody else thinks. My question is very simple. When all these losers say what they do on North-South divide, this and that, all Rahul has to do is keep them quiet. Does he keep them quiet? Never.
He did.
He did not.
He did.
He did not.
He did.
Maybe not publicly.
Not publicly. Then the same can be extended to
should
the Prime
have
Minister
taken it
with
publicly.
Biduri.
Not do it publicly.
Yeah, exactly.
So here is the extended Prime
One
Minister
second.
Biduri.
One second. Tehseen, here is where the problem. See, where is your political instinct? if supposing somebody told you that, look, this is going to backfire, then should you not have come out publicly, openly firing all cylinders that this is absolute nonsense? There is no north-south divide. India is one country. We fight all over India. We don't want to do it only in the southern states.
India party.
Where was the official communique?
No.
Kahan tha?
It's the only pan-India opposition party. They should have
But then
openly
why is
said
this
it.
question never raised of the Prime Minister, say for example in Biduri? Everyone says Prime Minister told Biduri off. Why is it not raised? Biduri got a promotion.
It is a question worth asking. And the thing is, was the BJP losing anything because of it?
That's what I thought.
Now the problem here is the Congress is actually losing because of this. You understand?
Electorally alag baat hai, morally and wo sab alag baat hai.
Next, mera question.
While you get your question ready, you guys can prepare for the next round.
Go ahead. It becomes so confusing.
No, they're not. They're just reading it up. Bolo.
So India's Canada problem, Khalistan, the sudden deaths, the conspiracy theories. What is the way forward? They're very simple, really.
What happened suddenly to your accent? You started
Canada
with
bana.
Mahua और थरूर आ गया बीच में.
ये Canadian accent है.
Canada.
Canada
I haven't
accent.
got a question yet. So technically, Canada, I should just be speaking in the Punjabi accent.
Yeah.
So, Canada बनेगा खालिस्तान.
Okay.
Canada बनेगा खालिस्तान. इधर तो कुछ नहीं बनने वाला है.
Now he's got a Haryanvi accent.
Now, like I am telling, this Justin, he is being losing. Justinder, he is being losing.
Canadian Pappu, Jappu.
जो भी है, he is being losing the next election. वो Pierre Poilievre पता नहीं क्या है वो आ रहा है. और the point is, this fellow, the problem with Justin is he is extremely dangerous, like a cornered rat. It is exactly when he's cornered like this where he has no hope. You remember in the previous election, Andrew Scheer, who was the Conservative leader then, was ahead. He won the popular vote, but he lost the electoral vote. And that is the problem with Justin. He will stop at nothing. And this is why you can't call him Canadian Pappu. Because unlike local Pappu who doesn't understand squat, this guy knows how to play a destructive game to win. Okay? He is. And now that Vivek Ramaswamy has clearly put it out and everybody agrees, he is playing to the great replacement theory. His politics, his brand of politics depends on accelerating and increasing this Khalistani thing, because you can keep them preoccupied there in return for support back home. Right? So it's fantastic. He doesn't have to deliver on houses. He doesn't have to deliver on the economy. He just keeps saying, keep your focus on Khalistan and I'll support you. You vote for me. Okay? It's fantastic for him. So our Khalistan problem is going to get worse. Now, as for the unknown gunmen and things like that, boss, crime is ultimately so fungible. Crime is the most fungible thing ever. Contrary to popular belief, druggies and people like that have the highest rate of fratricide. They kill each other. And this Punjabi community out there has trucks, which is the means of transportation. There's a very significant drug problem back home that is exported out there. Most of the local franchisees of the South American drug networks there are Khalistani drug networks. And the third is they also have the rap culture going on. Rap culture has, as a rule, been used to popularly justify in the mind gun culture, drug culture and things like that. They've got everything for them going on out there. And it is getting increasingly more violent because territorial. Drug cartels fight with each other. I mean, you look at that Narcos, that Netflix serial, it's all about them killing each other. More than the government killing them, it's them killing each other.
Colombia
Right?
or Mexico
So
or
this
Canada,
is what you're seeing out here. When the government says that we do not do stuff like this, I believe them 100%. We do not do things like this. Will we facilitate it in the sense that, we'll see ki this cartel wants to kill that cartel? Let's just turn a blind eye to it. Sure. That I'm totally willing to accept. We'll turn a blind eye to it. If that cartel comes and says, "Yaar, please, I've gotten a relatively less powerful thing than him. You stop raiding me out here in Punjab," the government will say, "Sure." Actively, you go kill. I'm not willing to believe that. Not about any government of India. Not this government, not any previous government, nothing like that. So, these conspiracy theories are just that. Even this latest one with America, I want to point out. There are four personae dramatis out here. One is this Nikhil Gupta, who is the guy who was contracted out, who was arrested in Czechoslovakia, but everything was apparently planned in India. Don't forget that. All the planning was supposedly done in India. He has a so-called government contact called Mishra from the CRPF apparently, who is named as CC1. And then there are the two American dramatis personae, the drug liaison and his handler, who are, I think, UC1 and something CS1. Okay? Now remember, UC1 and CS1 have never met this imaginary CC1. This CC1 could be absolutely anybody at all. We only have Nikhil Gupta's word saying that this is a government thing. And mind you, this is a country where just in February or March this year, a guy was arrested in Kashmir for impersonating the Home Minister's
PMOs.
PMO, Secretary PMO. He claimed not once but 3 times. He came and stayed at the Raj Bhavan and got away with anything. Anybody can go say. Tomorrow I can say, Smita, I am actually Stalin's right-hand man, and Stalin's asked you to do this program about me saying, Desh ka neta kaisa ho, Abhijit jaisa ho. It's part of his Brahmin outreach. Now, you'll call up Stalin. He probably won't give it to you, so you'll accept my bona fides. Okay, so that'll be it.
No, but
It's
one second.
very easy to get
Have you read the
past that.
15-page chart sheet?
Yes.
They say that the law enforcement out there, in association with the federal law enforcement, track these people down. There are images of the money being exchanged. That one image that has been put on the chart
Only
sheet.
the money being exchanged. The only connection to the government of India is CC1.
What they say is that they track the phone and the internet to government offices.
They did not.
But that's what the chart sheet
That,
says. I'm
it does
talking
not
about the
say
chart
that.
sheet.
It does not say that.
The chart sheet says that.
It does not say
The
that.
chart sheet said to government offices.
It does
The
not say
15-page
that,
chart
Baba.
sheet. It does.
But the
It does not,
important
because it
question,
was
if I
never
can
done on
ask,
phone. The
that is
entire
what
thing was
The
carried out on
encryption.
signal.
But some of the on encryption, which they've tracked, but they also say that the location was the government offices.
Location can be anything. See, location, tomorrow I can be anybody. I can go outside the PMO and make a call. Okay,
See, suppose he is visiting a government official. It's the same tower where he's making a call.
Yeah.
He can be visiting, say, Mr. Hardeep Puri's office because he's calling on him to invite him for his son's wedding.
Yeah.
You go there, you're in the corridor. If you make a call, it's the same tower from where you're making the call.
and if I drive past, say, I don't know, Infosys or something office, you can say that I was at Infosys
But-
office.
Do you know
but
that
the-
when
but the Indian government-
Pakistanis come to India, they used to get visa for 2 cities.
Correct.
Right? So now, and Indians going there, you get visa for 2. Now, you got a visa for Islamabad and you got it for Lahore. In Islamabad, if you took a particular road, you got Rawalpindi Tower, you've had it because you've taken visa for 2. That's showing you up as 2 separate cities. And if you go to Lahore, there's a 3rd city, your visa can be cancelled, you can be picked up, anything. Same way as when Pakistanis come out here, they get visa for, say, Punjab because Amritsar because they want to go to Golden Temple, or they have some relative who was buried out there, and they have visa for Delhi, right? If you go to Gurgaon to a mall out here, you've used your 2nd city. You don't have permission for that. So, this whole thing about permissions and visa and your tower where you make your call
But there's
from,
a slightly
it
more
can be-
forensic.
I don't know.
But what I do, but I'll tell
I'm
you what
not
I
willing
what,
to
what I
believe in it.
appreciate about the US as opposed to Canada, and you're right on Justin being a complete immature person in that. I like the
No,
mature.
he's a very mature person.
No. The way
He's
but
a
that-
zero-sum game, calculative,
but-
manipulative genius.
But Justin handled the India-Canada issue very badly. He went about, and his words were accusations, not evidence. US has been much more mature. They've worked with India. They've realized India as a partner, and the Indian government has behaved very maturely with US. Said, look, we are going to partner with you. If something like this it's
I
wrong.
agree. So, to be fair to
Justin
America,
was just terrible. The media, just one second, the media was going to leak it in Canada. He thought he would get flack for it. Like he rightly said, he thought he would lose support in the Sikh community, which our Sikhs are very patriotic, and no Sikh anywhere wants to harm India wherever they stay. So this guy went berserk. He went on making all these accusations. He's not given any iota of evidence. He claimed the 5 eyes had evidence, which has not been so far presented to India. US, on the other hand, they had Prime Minister's visit. Prime Minister was in the White House. They opened the White House for Indians. After that, this thing came out. They handled it at a very mature level. It's only now come out because it's gone to court. But even then, I loved how India and US dealt with this, as opposed to how Canada they were so childish about it. And it forced a reaction out of India. Now, whether it's done, not done, you are the expert on that. I just like the whole diplomatic way it was done with US and India.
India and America dealt with it very maturely.
Very well.
Canada, I would disagree. They dealt with it in a very good way for Justin. Because Justin doesn't need Indian votes.
Justin is not Canada.
But understand.
That's what he's saying.
He understand his calculus. He needed it to blow up so that he could shore up Khalistani votes so that it doesn't go to Jagmeet.
Correct.
Otherwise, Jagmeet would get it. So he might have still done something good. We are looking at it from a point of view that it was good for Canada. No, it's good. What is good for Justin is not necessarily good for Canada. So it was good for Justin.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree.
So now we go to Anand and then final word on Canada to Sushant Paji.
Very quickly. I think we might be, as a layman, as an Indian citizen who is going to vote in the next elections, I just need to ask one question. Was Osama bin Laden convicted by US court that US bombed and killed him in Pakistan in another country? Were any of the 300 odd terrorists who we liquidated in Balakot ever convicted?
Or Saddam, Gaddafi, can we do all of them?
So, as a voter, do I mind if India goes, किसी के घर में घुस के हमारे जो terrorist है उनको मार रही है? Do I mind? What's the answer to that?
No. He celebrates.
So I don't know what this controversy is about, to be honest with you.
The controversy is a great one. Because even if you've not done anything, right, and chances are that Abhijit is probably right, that, at best you just had a wink and a nudge, at best. You've not done anything.
पहली बात तो हम लोग पैसे देके कोई काम नहीं करते हमारे country में.
Okay.
वो तो नहीं होता.
पैसे नहीं,
पैसे promise तो
best of luck getting money out of the government of India. Yes.
Right.
If you think the India did this, you are a moron of the next level. I would urge you to sign some kind of a contract with the government. Your granddaughters will get their PhDs before you see that money from the government.
Calling the audience moron. You calling the audience as moron is like a Congress.
I am calling any audience. I am calling any audience that believes that India went and bumped these fellows off.
The best ad right now is that Make My Trip, which mein Alia aur wo wala dekha hai, parachute wala. Have you seen that ad?
No, I haven't seen.
So there's this couple who's just gotten married. They're in this plane about to come and go down in a parachute, and this is a training thing, and they're saying. आलिया कहती है मैं रणवीर की ना गोदी में बैठ जाऊंगी, एक में ही 30,000 में ही दोनों कर लेंगे, 100-200 ऊपर से ले लेना तुम. तो अमेरिकन कहता है seriously, and he just jumps up.
No. Then she says, and we don't need the parachute. हम
अपना parachute
घर से ले आएंगे.
बेडशीट
लेके आए हम. And they're like surprised when the fellow says seriously.
Exactly. मतलब $15,000 as first installment सरकारी अफसर कभी देगा किसी को भी बम्प ऑफ करने के लिए यार.
मुरादाबाद से 10 तैयार हो जाएंगे यार. भाई मुझे वीजा दिलवा दो, मैं कर लेता हूं.
So look,
that also was first installment. $15,000 was first installment.
Politically it works out very well for this government.
For $150,000.
$150,000 में हम कराची और सिंध ले ले यार.
देखो, it works out very well for the government. Especially this whole thing कि वो पाकिस्तान में लोग मर रहे हैं और हमारा कोई सुपरमैन है जो जाके कुछ कर रहा है. It all sounds very good.
75 में वो फूड पॉइजनिंग से बीमार होके मर रहा है. 75-year-old guy यार, फूड पॉइजनिंग तो बच्चों को भी हो जाती है.
Look, but the thing is that there is something mysterious happening. That about 20 odd people have died unnaturally. But if somebody is giving me credit.
तो पाजी वही तो answer my question. Do Indians mind?
No. So, यार देखो ना, देखो the best thing.
प्रेस कहती रहे यार.
देखो best thing for anybody is कि तुम मुझे ये क्रेडिट दो कि भारत का जो भविष्य आपने सुनहरा कर दिया जबकि मैंने कुछ नहीं किया. और तुम मुझे उसका क्रेडिट दे रहे हो. What more do I want?
यार ओसामा बिन लादेन को किडनी प्रॉब्लम थी, वो डायलिसिस पे था, वो वैसे ही मरने वाला था, पर ओबामा ने जाके उसको मरवा दिया, तो उसको कितना बेनिफिट मिला. तो सर सेम वे आई एम श्योर हाफिज सईद इज डाइंग एनीवे ऑफ लिवर.
No, everybody is going to die one day. ठीक है ना?
In the end we are all dead.
But the point is, अगर किसी की डेथ का क्रेडिट तुम मुझे दे रहे हो, चाहे मैंने कुछ किया है या नहीं किया, तो so politically it's a vote winner, right? And for anybody to take pot shots that you have spoiled the image of this country, I don't know what has happened outside. The people who already hate us will continue to hate us.
The Economist, New York Times, Washington Post.
They don't, look, how many people
Shall
in
we
India
start?
read? All these newspapers are behind a paywall.
Huh.
So even if somebody wanted to read them, they can't read them. Exactly. So nobody gives a damn about what these guys write. Okay. The point is that as far as the electorate is concerned in India, for them it is Modi, strongman,
Marwadia.
ठीक है.
Hence the $1 million question, Dawood before 2024.
That's the Black Swan event that we were talking about.
नहीं यार देखो वो होगा नहीं.
What if it happens?
भाई अगर हो गया तो हो गया. अब वो हम करवाते हैं कोई और करवाता है क्या पता. But ठीक है. But so that's not the issue.
No, question is पाजी होना चाहिए कि नहीं जब ये सब हो रहा है.
देखो यार मैं तो I am all for it. But look, when you put this question that America did, yes, America has done all of it. And yes, if we are in a debate, we can raise these issues and question them. Okay? But I think that's a very fallacious way of looking at it. All of this
Nawaz Sharif is in power right now in Pakistan. We are recording on the 10th. He's supposed to have said that 2 prime ministers of India came and visited Pakistan during my time. We should have had better relations. In the event of Nawaz Sharif deciding, just let's presuppose that वो सोच रहे हैं कि चलो we have to improve relations with India. India is this rising superpower in the making and all. If we ride with them, we'll also, all our problems will end. चलो हम दाऊद दे देते because he's a spent force anyway. Suppose वो देते तो क्या होगा?
Maggie, देखो, we've had a sumptuous lunch.
मोदी ले
and if we are all in that mood that अब हो गया यार चलो अब बस अब wind up करते हैं थोड़ी देर सो जाते हैं ऊँग रहे हैं, then we want to dream all this, we can. It's not going to happen, right?
Okay.
One thing you have to give to the Pakistanis that they try and protect their assets lifelong. They've done it to a lot of people. So I don't think we are going to get that. The other thing is that Indians have this amazing ability of deluding themselves on Pakistani intentions.
उनका बड़ा दिल
So
है.
Nawaz Sharif has said something very innocuous. That when I was Prime Minister, 2 Prime Ministers came in. He is basically he's not reaching out to India and saying that I want to improve relations with India.
True. I agree.
All that he's doing is he's trying to polish himself that I was this great statesman, that I was able to get 2 Indian Prime Ministers to come and meet me, right? So he is burnishing his own
You're right.
statesmanship.
You're right.
Out here, the dumbos, especially, your Foreign Office beat journalists, no, fact of the matter.
सच में तुम्हारे वो Foreign Office beat colleagues है ना? Come and dash.
No, really. So, they will all...
और एक
they
दो
will all...
particularly नाम नहीं लेना चाहते.
देखो, हम लोग जब D school में थे ना... नहीं, one second. हम लोग जब D school में थे...
Chinese
हमारे प्रोफेसर होते थे. There was this guy, very... he could be very nasty, a guy by the name of K. Sundaram. So, he would tell us that, look, when I ask you a question, please give me the right answer. I don't do the Delhi University stuff कि वो पहाड़ ले आते हो तुम वो जो हनुमान जी को बोला था ना हाँ कुछ ना कुछ तो सच होगा इसमें से ठीक है don't do that तो हमारे जो most of these beat reporters ना they look for catchwords आया तो सारा पहाड़ उठा कर लाके पेश कर दिया Nawaz Sharif has he said what he is willing to do he is playing his own political game and we are falling for it so that nothing is going to happen I can assure but I am 100% sure that after the election cycle is over in Pakistan and in India, there will be some kind of an outreach. I hope it doesn't happen, but I will not be surprised if it does. Because we are suckers for punishment. So we will do something. We will try and reach out.
If I was not to be a moderator and to be one of you guys,
I think a great
I
thing
would
has
just say
happened
no. There is no stomach for peace talks with Pakistan 5 months before an election.
Not 5 months.
After the election cycle is over.
After.
Then what happens? Again, you go back, you start reinventing the wheel.
वो होगा यार. Sushant वो हमेशा होता है in this country.
Look, if you want to do it, I have nothing against it. Okay?
I'm not saying I want it, but it happens with every government.
1 second. My point is that don't do it as a kind of a reflex.
Don't do it
Don't do it as a reflex. Do it in a carefully calculated way. Please first find out what are you getting, what are they offering, and is the offer a post-dated check, or is it
encashable?
Cash down. Yeah. Is it cash down? If it is cash down, I'm willing to talk to you and I'm willing to do a deal with you.
What?
But if it's a post-dated check, you have given me 20 post-dated checks in the past. Each of them have bounced. I'm not interested anymore.
Yeah.
So I think we should be very cold, calculated and bloody-minded when we deal with the Pakistanis next time around. Not just fall for this KG wo, hail fellow well met, jaake jappi vappi maar rahe hain.
But what
It's most counterproductive way of
Pakistani
doing
Prime
things.
Minister have? Their army doesn't brief them on what's going on in a goddamn war. The Prime Minister has no idea. The army will mislead the Prime Minister
the
in the
point
middle of
here
a war.
is the
So he has no power.
The army is the
What is
determinant. The army is the
So आप नवाज शरीफ जी या
any
इमरान
Prime
खान
Minister
साहब
can
या
decide what they
शहबाज
want,
शरीफ
कुछ नहीं
साहब
होगा।
या भुट्टो साहब या किसी के भी गले मिलो से आपको मिलने वाला क्या है?
नहीं है।
उनके पास है
as
क्या
a
आपको
layman,
देने
may I
को?
disagree?
अच्छा ये बार layman as if
अरे
like
how
we are
you
some
layman?
Shankaracharya sitting out
नहीं,
here.
नहीं,
ना?
ये-
ऐसा layman मुझे बनना है।
देखो, I know my limitations. These guys are experts in
नहीं
this
ये
domain.
इसका ना he demean himself to rise higher than us. That's what
He
he's
wants
trying
us
to
to
do.
say no, no,
See,
Anand.
in-
Acha, next
in
question.
Farsi, in Farsi it's called
Sawal.
taruf. So if I want to say that, Anand is a blithering idiot, I will say, Arey Anand, you are the sun and the moon.
Habibi.
You are the alpha and the omega. The nuclear fission that happens on the sun is not because of the
It is because of your brilliance.
it is not because of the
The hydrogen
hydrogen
atom splitting.
reaction.
because of
It
you.
is actually your farts coming out and igniting out in the
Can we
upper
please cut
altitude.
this?
This
So,
is your I come here to
Yeah.
वो Brutus वाला.
Right.
It's the same thing.
नहीं, but just to before I come to this, जैसे आपने कहा ना कि सब पाकिस्तान में आर्मी के हाथ में. May I as a layman disagree because the Kargil war was stopped because Clinton talked to Nawaz Sharif.
Oh.
Is it not true?
We tapped General Musharraf's phone. Please ask the experts.
Yeah.
General Musharraf was fibbing. He told that other army general of his, Miya
Yeah.
sabko mat batao. That's how we tapped the phone. Please.
अरे रुका किस लिए?
रुका क्योंकि नवाज रुका because
नहीं,
India gave the
नहीं,
evidence.
Clinton-
Am I right or wrong
they
on
were
this
getting
point?
it.
Ruka
Desperate for a way
nahi.
out.
What happened was
They were
that
looking for a
what
way
they
out.
told us to do is allow free passage for them to leave. So that is how it stopped. The conflict stopped with that
Because we
we had
recorded it. We recorded
yeah,
it.
and once we showed that
Yeah.
that
वो
intel
जापान या चाइना का
that
गया था
intel
मुशर्रफ.
path stopped immediately.
Yeah,
So
Musharraf
Clinton
was-
Clinton
No.
Clinton did in
Again,
Clinton
look,
allowed
we
them to-
walloped them. Let's be clear.
We walloped them,
the war
and what
turned
happened
around.
was that the Americans were telling us, "Okay, listen, you guys play it easy. Let them, why don't you talk it?" The initial when the conflict started, the Americans and the rest of the world was pressuring us to show restraint.
Yes.
Right. It is when, and this, to all credit to Mr. Vajpayee. Despite the fact that a lot of people say that, we should have crossed the LOC and all, he was very, very clear that LOC is not going to be crossed, but we will not allow these guys to stay out here. So he refused to back down and he said, we will throw everything we have at these guys and we'll expel them. It is when he took this line that the shoe came on the other foot. And then they started leaning on the Pakistanis, and the Pakistanis were getting walloped in the meantime. They simply did not have the wherewithal to continue with this thing. And that is when Musharraf went to Nawaz Sharif and said, "Ke Miya Sahab, sanu bachao." And it is to the credit of Nawaz Sharif, who, despite having sanctioned the operation in the first place, whether he knew the whole thing, did not know the whole thing, that's debatable. But he had sanctioned it. He finally sought American intervention and then used it to announce a withdrawal.
4th of
That's
July.
the way it happened.
On the
Yes.
4th of July.
That's the way it happened.
Right.
So we didn't back down.
But that tapping of the phone
Yeah,
was amazing.
that was your question.
But there's
Imagine an
there are
army-
people who say that maybe it was not the best thing to do to make that.
Stop the war.
to
No,
know
but
No,
because,
no,
but
stop
it,
the war.
it,
It
it
stopped
one
the
second.
war. Yeah.
But it closed.
that crucial
an
part was
intelligence
gone.
channel.
But can you
Yeah.
imagine, and I want the viewers to imagine an army chief telling his subordinate, we will not tell the prime minister what the hell is going on.
Yeah.
Can you imagine this in any democracy? What kind of a banana
Pakistan's not a
country
democracy.
is
But you are
Pakistan?
assuming Pakistan is a
I'm not
democracy.
assuming, but I'm just
No,
saying,
but
what kind of
saying,
banana
yeah,
country is it?
that's true. I agree with him. Sometimes we take some of our systems so much for granted.
Yeah.
The fact that our army is under civilian rule is something that we so take it for granted, and all around us that's not the case.
And frankly, if one credit has to be given to Pandit Nehru, it is that this thing of
They will stay in the
establishing-
barracks.
establishing
Yeah.
civilian supremacy although we paid a heavy price for it on the China front, but establishing civilian supremacy insofar as our domestic framework, political framework is concerned, is one of the contributions
just
you have to
add
give
to that,
to.
not just Nehru. I think everybody needs to read Ian Wilkinson, Sardar Patel, Rajaji were crucial
Everybody
in this.
was on the same
Right
page.
from 1932 onwards, they thought about this problem very deeply and they went in. This is not an accident. This took 8 to 9 years of deliberation by the leadership on how to make India coup-proof.
And it's
this
like
is not
never
in our
been
nature.
subverted.
It is,
Never been subverted. Okay, let's
Has
move
it-
on.
No, wait. Before his question, your question was still...
No, we are doing the next round.
From here we start.
Have you taken the question?
No,
So you start.
So hence the disappointment why the Vajpayee Musharraf talks failed. You know?
Sorry, I have no disappointment. I'm glad it failed. Yeah,
agreement
rubbish.
was ridiculous.
It was rubbish.
It was a ridiculous agreement. I'm glad that the Prime Minister of India didn't sign it at the
Yeah,
last
yeah,
moment.
there was no chance.
We were giving Pakistan everything. That agreement was in their favor.
वो तो
You
अच्छा
are- you
हुआ.
are expert,
Once we
but-
go into that.
Yeah,
I
उसमें नहीं जाते.
think-
I'm glad they didn't
I think
sign
it is if that agreement had happened, it would have been, the Pakistanis did us a favor. If that agreement had happened, it would have been a disaster. The calculation among the Indian policymakers probably is still there that, we would have 15-20 साल में तो दुनिया बदल जाती है. They would have reconciled to it. Because, see, that was not a...
For the viewers, the
it was
agreement was
it was leaving it open-ended.
What was the agreement?
So, you know what, Anand? The fact is that at that time in Agra, Musharraf told Vajpayee
No, you're talking
supposedly
about Musharraf.
that
You were there.
Musharraf and no, I was in Delhi. So Musharraf is supposed to have told Vajpayee that you are the Prime Minister, I'm the President. अब हम दोनों मान गए, तो फिर let's do it. And Vajpayee said it doesn't work like that in my country. I have to go back to Parliament. I can't just say ha and be done with it. And this is how it works. Several times over, even in Sharmal Sheikh, it was the same thing. Arey, मैं मान गया, तो तुम, what is your problem? Why can't you just... Because that's how Pakistan behaves, right? When the army chief thinks, if I have given the sanction, that's how it should be. Right? Army chief has done that. What's your problem? Why do you need to go through that? And our prime ministers always say, we can't do this. In our country, we have to go back to Parliament. We have to go back to the people of this country. Right? Parliament represents the people of the country. We have to go back and we can't. To go into the details, it will take a lot of time, but it was detrimental and Vajpayee saw that. But being a good host, he didn't say no. He just said, I've got to go back. Musharraf misread it that there's a third person in the room, which is Advani, and Advani will not allow that. So he went back a very miffed man. And he blamed Advani full on, saying it was his fault.
Are you talking about the failure at Agra?
Agra,
or
Agra.
Are you talking about
Agra.
the failure of the back channel?
Agra.
Subsequently
Agra.
He's talking about Agra. So Agra was that. It was not. It was, and for Vajpayee it suited fine to let Advani take the fall for it, and Advani was fine taking the fall for it because here was
Hawk. It
they played
reinforced
that
his hawk image,
the hawk image, but it was actually Vajpayee who was so clever, and he's been clever all along, where he let somebody take the credit if it suited him. Fine, take the credit, and he is this man of peace and the man of democracy who says, let my parliament decide. The same way as when during the Gulf War, America wanted us for refueling.
Yes.
And he was like, I can't decide this. I can't, he told Dick Cheney or whoever was there, I can't decide this, the parliament has to decide it. So when the parliamentarians came, and this is all was said off the record, there's no record in this, but now that time has passed, then the politicians tell us that they went there and told the Prime Minister, if you think it's right. And he said, bhai, you represent West Bengal. तुम शोर नहीं मचाओगे कि American planes को यहाँ पे refueling हो रही है. Without saying शोर मचाओ, he said शोर नहीं मचाओगे तुम.
Gurudas
So
Das Gupta was
they then got the signal कि हाँ भाई हम communists हैं. हम कैसे allow कर सकते हैं कि American planes यहाँ पे refuel होंगे. So Prime Ministers need to tread that path, and he did a brilliant job at that stage.
And technically, it is not required, because technically, if India signs a treaty or agreement, it's only the foreign ministry that ratifies it. The parliament does not have to ratify
In
it.
India.
In India. Yet, even, the exchange of enclaves that happened with Bangladesh and things,
Yeah.
they were preceded by years of political consultation, wrangling. Do you know how many delegations had to go to Mamta and calm her and tell her,
Yeah, and Sheikh
"You're going to
Hasina
get
says this,
this,
that
this."
I have very good relations with Mamta.
Exactly.
Why doesn't she agree? but Mamta stood her ground and she was like, no, I'm not going to do that. And it took a lot of work from Jaswant Singh and the others to, to do that exchange. Anyway, it's a long story if we go into
But
the
on this
details.
whole thing, the Vajpayee giving credit to the other side if he is getting what he wanted. So when this whole 2003, now we were talking about Agra, but go another 2 years down the line to 2003 when the ceasefire happens. And then, Vajpayee goes to Islamabad in January and there is that guarantee which the Pakistanis give that we will not, which they never of course fulfilled, but you nevertheless have it on a piece of paper. Even at that point of time, Vajpayee very, and the Pakistanis always say that we unilaterally announced the ceasefire. There was no bloody unilateral ceasefire. It was a negotiated thing. It was negotiated and then we allowed the Pakistanis to take full credit for it because we got what we wanted and we let the Pakistanis take full credit for it, which is what they did. So what Smita is saying, that Vajpayee was very clever that way, as was, he had a very good advisor in Brajesh Mishra, who's a very wizened old man. So and Vajpayee had this knack of getting very good advice from a lot of people, which, in your case, your leader does not.
Acha, now let's go to the next question. Foreign policy, bahut ho gaya.
from everyone.
हाँ.
But
अच्छा,
you're
बोलो.
not the leader.
बोलो Anand.
In my head, I am.
Elections in Karnataka earlier this year and then now in 4 states. Which card was played more, caste or religion? For 2024,
Cash
what do
card.
you think? What do you think will click out of these two, or is it going to be freebies? Okay.
Freebies, religion, caste,
or
north-south divide. Actually, that's also.
Yeah, I think this discussion really needs to happen in our country. What is and what isn't a freebie? How does one draw the line between what is freebie and what is a welfare state? It's very important. Otherwise, everyone at the first sight would say, "Oh, this is freebie," or genuine welfareism will say, "Oh, this is freebie," So I think I tried to define it maybe a week ago or something because it's very important. Supreme Court had said you must define. Politicians are never going to define it.
Yeah.
Because for them, हर कोई जिसका मन करेगा वो दे देगा. I think freebie is something that is appeasement. Clearly, that would be a freebie. And which is against national interest, national progress, that would be freebie. So let me give examples. For example, KCR said we'll have Muslims only IT park. Now that's a freebie. That's for appeasement.
That's a stupid idea. It's not even a freebie.
Terrible idea.
How do you do it? How do you say you're Hindu, but you cannot do data entry?
Yeah.
Only a Muslim.
It had to be halal certified.
Halal
IT
certified
park.
data entry.
But
I'm just asking you. Sorry, I don't mean to offend anybody.
against
But
national interest, freebie would be, for example, Congress reverting to the old pension scheme. First, bringing in the new pension scheme, then saying in Himachal that our plank promise, election plank, would be to get in the junk what we've got through new pension and we're going to revert to old pension. That is against national's progress. That is against national interest and therefore that is a freebie. Repealing the farm laws, that is a freebie. So I think one can define, but giving free cylinders, making free toilets, all those things are welfareism because, to be honest, for a country that has GDP per capita of $2,000, if we don't do welfareism, we will wipe out tens, hundreds of millions of people. I mean, you look at COVID. Had Modi not given 80 crore people free food for 2 years, millions would have died.
Yeah.
So we need to make this thing, and I think it's good. For example, people can say this direct cash transfer. Is it free? Is it not freebie? I don't think it is. But so having defined that, I think politicians should really think about this thing because
I would say that
it can destroy the country.
Ensuring basic necessities.
Yes.
Okay. Not luxuries, basic necessities.
Education,
So,
health.
for example, even if you want to give, supposing,
Yeah.
subsidized electricity to farmers,
Yes.
then it has to be very carefully regulated.
Yes.
I know of my friends who are big farmers who run ACs 24 hours a day because,
Yeah.
electricity is
For
virtually
example,
free.
agricultural income is not taxed.
Right.
No, that's not true. It is.
Where?
It is taxed.
No,
For
it
Badals
isn't.
it's
It
not.
isn't. It
It's not
isn't.
true.
It
Abhijit,
isn't. So one caveat
one
I will...
minute. Abhijit, when elections come closer, there are undecided
Beyond a certain
voters. And then it's that emotional connect. You know, that last minute voter जो है वो जिसने decide नहीं किया होता. It's that emotional thing. So when that happens, there'll be millions in this country, and you know, this election has shown us recently some people lost with 200 votes, 300 votes, and those kind of things happened. So will the caste issue be picked up? It didn't work this time. Caste census. Do you think that will be picked up? Will it be Hindu-Muslim, North-South divide? What do you think will be the emotional card?
I think the freebies, caste and religion play into the pre-decided voter. That last-minute emotional voter is going to vote on gravitas, not on any of these three issues, because if they were voting on any of these three issues, unka mind already made up hota when they came to the polling booth, right? And this is where that aura of Modi counts, right? They're going to look at the sort of joker image that Rahul has and the statesman image that Modi has, and I think that is where a lot of the vote ends up going to Modi.
Okay.
And I think first time Modi used an epithet for Rahul. For years he never.
He did that.
That's
Why
really
did he
caught
do
on.
that?
That's really
I
caught
think that
on.
was below the belt from the Prime Minister. I
No,
don't think
Panotti was below the belt
He has
too.
never used
the Prime
anything for
Minister
Rahul
started
Gandhi.
first.
First
Prime
time he
Minister.
used it.
Started
It's not true.
first,
He
I
said
don't
first.
know, man.
He also called them hybrid bachchan, but it was below the belt. I don't think the Prime Minister should have used those words, being Prime Minister, for anyone. And it's the leader of the opposition. You can agree, disagree on policy. And that was a policy thing Rahul Gandhi was talking about.
He was
But
wrong.
could be. And I'm not disputing on the right or wrong. I'm talking about the language. When we talk about language, we should be within that maryada as we were talking about earlier. So I agree with the broader thing that Anand said. The whole reason we became independent as a nation was, as Nehru says, interest to destiny, the attempt to wipe every tear from every eye. And that is that we have to be a welfare state. Now, many people confuse welfare with socialism. Welfare is not socialism. You can be absolutely capitalistic and still be a welfare state. Welfareism is what you rightly defined, education, healthcare. It is our moral duty to give our fellow citizens equal healthcare and education, to hold the hands of our older citizens. That's the moral responsibility of India and Indian government. But when you start giving scooties out, when you start giving out, which is in the BJP manifesto, when you start giving out other things, I think
It's
that
there
becomes
free,
they copy pasted the
cycle,
Congress.
free bus rides for women.
So
सब में है.
I have a thing with the free bus ride. I think to an extent it's right to increase women
हाँ, तो
participation,
ठीक है. So
but it must happen at a local level. Welfare should not be centrally driven, local level. So say Sushant's village or his town, women participation in
My
labor.
village or Hoskas village?
Hoskas village. Say in Hoskas village, women participation is much less. I'm just throwing that. So you say, okay, here we will give free bus
Mahua
rides
is
to
Greenwich village,
to women.
Big difference.
Where Abhijit, so you say, okay, we
Greenwich.
need
Oh,
more.
Greenwich. Oh.
Yeah, we need more somebody else in certain other sectors. You do that. So you must have it localized. I do disagree with the OPS scheme, though you keep saying it, because in the OPS scheme, just to correct you, it's not compulsory to go back to the old pension scheme. You can remain in Himachal on the new pension scheme, and I rechecked this. The old pension scheme is an option. The government will prefer old pension. If you want to remain in new pension, that's your thing.
No.
Yes, I'm telling you this as a matter of fact. You may check it right now. You have Google data.
okay, can we go to the next question?
I just want to add one thing on this whole. See, anything which increases the productivity of people is not a freebie. Okay?
Correct.
It's not a freebie. So if you're giving free rations to people who are below a certain income level, you are not only increasing their income, you are putting food in their stomach, you are making them
Health
in a
better.
position to have better health, of course,
And therefore work.
and work. No, you can. We are still a free country.
But Anand, he's right. Do you,
I want to throw in a caveat.
teenager,
No, one second.
as a teenager,
So
we have read
Caveat.
headlines saying so many died in Orissa because of starvation. And I'm so glad our children are living in an India where people are not dying because of lack of food. I'm so glad
Right.
that whether there is a drought or there's floods or crop failure, it's okay. Suicides, farmer suicides still happening. Suicides I'm not looking at, but I'm still saying we are not seeing that Satyajit Ray ka empty bartan and
No,
those.
of course.
That's
the
over.
other thing, for example,
Somewhere
making
we have
toilets.
to thank.
Of course,
Yeah.
making toilets. I think that's
Absolutely.
and
Yeah.
especially in villages where you have girls going out in the
Yes.
field. how could somebody not think of this?
And not being the entire day because they can't go, so they get UTI.
No, but I'm just
right.
Sorry to be a nitpicker, but I'm just saying you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
I mean, I myself said toilets.
No, so a freebie is giving free television. People don't need televisions.
I don't know.
No, one second. They don't. Okay, you are a media person. You think everybody needs a television, but people don't need televisions. What they need, if you're giving children going to school a laptop or a tablet.
For example, South Indians, do they need mixer grinder?
Yes.
No.
Idlis, dosa, sambar batter. What I'm saying is, see, a caveat that I threw in, the fellow immediately said yes. Look at this cheapskate. You know, would Mahua or Mukesh Ambani or Neeta Ambani ever need a mixer grinder? You bloody...
we absolutely need a mixer grinder. Hello.
Pleb, you proletariat.
Mixer grinder is more important to the Madrasi than their own mother. मिक्सर ग्राइंडर हमारी माँ है. हमारे मिक्सर ग्राइंडर को छूओगे तो सर तन से जुदा हो जाएगा.
You know, Anand, South Indian will have to.
Do you have a mixer grinder at home?
Of course. Yes, of course, we all have.
No,
mixer
वो वाला.
हाँ, obviously.
अरे you नहीं होता. This is why he's not a South Indian.
No, but you have the mechanised one.
One hand goes like this, and then the other one goes like this to push it down.
And there's a science to it.
Yeah. So you can't do this.
Can't do it. There's a science to it.
Because that is the chakki piecing of the north, where it goes together.
Chakki piecing
but
and
the mixer grinder is.
Divide
this is okay. This is a positive divide.
है ना?
When was the last time you used a mixer grinder?
Which one?
बहुत serious
Which one? कौन सा एक?
He uses mixers.
वो वाला होता है ना which
He uses mixers.
Punjabis have that silbatta.
You use mixers.
You have a silbatta.
We used
Punjabis
to have it.
Yeah.
But now nobody has it.
Please, yeah, silbatta is like a tombstone.
Sushant, you use a mixer. You use a mixer but in liquid form.
नहीं वो liquid form वाला छोड़
वो
दिया.
mixer उसका अलग है.
वो जिंदगी कुछ और
मेथी सिलबट्टे का तो ऐसे है ना स्मिता मेथी died here.
मतलब it's a tombstone.
Yeah.
No, but just to finish on that point, you see, mostly you are right when you say freebie is anything which is not going to increase the productivity or the vice versa. Well, but in the case of, for example, you talk of Muslim-only IT park, it's going to be productive. The farmer, when you're giving so many sops to farmers, not after repealing the farm laws, MSPs, sugarcane farmers, they are going to produce a lot of sugarcane, but it's going to be against national interest. So, just nitpicking.
No, sorry. See, an IT park for Muslims is never going to be productive. I'll tell you why.
Wow.
Because, first of all...
One example I took.
We're actually discussing this.
It's
an
not
IT
constitutionally
park.
possible.
Bizarre.
Freebies, there's a very simple method of freebies, which unfortunately involves capitalistic economies. In socialism, everything is a genuine increase in productivity because socialist economics sucks. If you do a clear-cut capitalist this thing on what is the expected value adds and assign accountability to it, that it is going to be withdrawn if so-and-so targets are not met in terms of value addition, etc., which any good capitalist economist will be able to predict, then it is not a freebie. A mixer grinder saves time at home. It allows you to do lots of other things from one calculation, but I can do another calculation to show it's better that you go to the market and buy
pre-mixed
idli mix batter that it actually... But in India, we don't have that kind of granular economics to even do that.
But I think it's now there in every city.
Plus,
it's there.
Ghar ka batter is more granular.
We are going to lose natural light quickly, so we have to move fast. So your question.
Chinese companies are doing academic collaboration with Indian institutes, especially the tech institutes. So do Indian institutes have a social responsibility to reject funding, collabs with Chinese or dubious funding? There is no brainer. Of course it is. And I think that the government needs to be stricter on Chinese money coming in.
Rajiv Gandhi Foundation, did it accept from China money?
So I'll come to it. One second.
This is that Economic Times story.
Yeah, the ET
which
story.
which had that thing that
IITs
were getting.
But Rajiv Gandhi Foundation also is not a tech institute. We're talking about tech and everything, but even social, including media institutes. I think they have an absolute responsibility towards the nation, considering that China is now China's global aspirations will clash with our regional aspirations.
But this is this whole Confucius Institute and the fund that China has set aside. In fact, America has also sat up to this and said that this is a worrisome thing which they have been for a long time they've been investing in institutes academic
Indian media
institutes in
companies,
America, in
Indian media
companies.
companies.
गोली मारो Americans को. मेरा point very simple है. Who made China what it is today? American money.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, so they've woken up to it. India.
No. Who should make us rich? Chinese money. After you take their money, you screw them over. That is a different matter.
But they are always weak at the last mile.
But
na?
that's fine.
No, boss, it makes a lot of difference
we are
because-
taking their money and we are singing their praises.
No, not singing the praises. Singing praises doesn't matter. You take money and then, all your research, all the papers are oriented towards
No,
that.
see, that is sale of asset. That is different.
So that's how it starts.
So this is where you only so this is where you lay down the parameters. You can invest and you can get a share of profits. If it is investing in profit share, yes. If it's investing in research and things like that, no.
I'm
So
sorry,
you
Chinese
draw
money
lines.
and Chinese companies,
Yeah,
should not be
period,
allowed to invest in
exactly.
India.
Even I
Look,
disagree
what
on
is
this.
privately owned in China? I'm sorry.
I'm with Abhijit on that.
Just one
Yeah.
second, just one
Our
second.
trade is $130 billion per year.
Just give me a second.
Why are we
where
being
it is
hypocritical?
national security is at stake, which is tech institutes.
Who decides?
What is
Tech
private in China?
institute profit low, but
I'm
you
sorry.
will give us the money. You
No,
will not
what
own
is
the
Chinese?
IPR.
What is private Chinese? There's nothing that's private in China. Everything is
You
government.
won't own the IPR, yeah. You won't be given anything in IPR.
How does that matter? You've allowed them in. And I agree with you.
Allowed
$130
them in
billion
how?
trade
You are
deficit.
not
I
giving
agree
them
with
the
you.
granularity
We
of the
need to.
research.
इसके लिए
Chinese
कांग्रेस
has
चुप
to
है.
stop.
Okay, Tehseen,
Period.
see with
They don't
research
pick up
there are
right
two
issues. I
parts.
said, I'm lamenting.
Tehseen, so no, with research there are two parts. There is the how and the why. Okay, the how is what when you steal processes. The why you will never understand unless you've ab initio gone into the research. China's problem is it steals a lot of how, it is not able to steal the why. Okay, and this is a huge hiccup in all technology literature about China. So even if they do research, you go in for only sharing of profit. They do not. So I can fund his lab. Anyway, I won't understand half of what he does. No, not half, 99.99%. I won't understand.
But what if they put
I
their
profit
people
from
there?
his research. They won't. So this is what I'm saying. You lay down the regulatory framework.
No, but then
I
as an
disagree.
alternative, just ask them to buy the stocks of the Indian market.
Yeah, that's it.
No, I don't think so. That should also happen.
Is it a national
Chinese money
security-
should not be in Indian markets, period. I'm
Sushant,
sorry.
is it a national
Whatever
security
it is.
risk?
Look, if you
How
are
can you
into-
do that?
Listen, you have to be a little realistic about how things are working out. You are in a globalized or whatever, whatever you want to call it, environment.
Okay.
You're talking about a country which is right now the second largest economy in the world and is likely to remain that for the foreseeable future. At least for the next, at least as long as many of us out here are alive. Can you say that I will not have anything to do with this country?
No, you can't say
So you will have to deal with them.
True.
You will have to deal with them sensibly. And in dealing with them sensibly, you will have to set, as Abhijit is very correctly saying, a certain regulatory framework which you have to enforce ruthlessly. Nobody can be allowed to violate that framework. Okay? And if you stick to that framework, then yes, there will be a lot of interaction. Why not? You can go ahead with it. But you have to protect the integrity of your research. You have to protect areas in which the Chinese are allowed and not allowed. So, for
Which is what
example, if you
tech
don't
and
let them
pharma.
come in, one second, if you don't let them
Pharma,
come in
agreed.
to your critical infrastructure, absolutely correct. You should not, right? But if they are coming in, for example, even mobiles in some ways are critical infrastructure, right? Then do you have systems of figuring out whether those mobile phones or, there's something which allows them to tap into what you are doing? What are the kind of apps? You can have a regulatory framework and you can enforce it very, very strongly.
China now has technology to have two EI numbers in your mobile. They've built it. China must be out of tech and pharma. I don't know how bigoted I sound or how people get angry with me. You cannot have them near it. Period.
So, tech
If that
or
makes me a
pharma-
hard
I
line,
would disagree. I would fundamentally disagree because China, there is a very strict limit to how far they can grow. They are in several technology locks, which they can't just spend their
They're
money
building
out of.
a
Okay,
quantum
we
computer.
need to.
It doesn't matter. It's
rush
not
because
happening.
we are going to lose light. So, Abhijit, your question.
Yes, my question, and I just want to warn the audience that any contradiction of me or disagreement with me is transphobia, it's homophobia, it's Islamophobia, and it's.
अब इस्लामोफोबिया का है, अब वो है.
वो Islamic है ना अभी.
Just because I took off my keffiyah doesn't mean I stopped
अच्छा.
becoming a
Can I
Muslim.
also make him wear the LV?
हाँ, LV दे दो.
You cannot be.
How does it go?
Yes,
Ganga
yes.
Jal to nahi
You
chhod
cannot be
sakta.
without the LV.
What do I have to?
Water, Zamzam.
Zamzam.
Zamzam का पानी.
By the orders.
ये जमजम कॉफी ले ले.
आबे
जमजम
जमजम.
कोला तो है नहीं.
Thank you.
हाँ.
देखो मेरा राज अभिषेक हुआ
Mic
है.
has fallen. Hello.
हाँ, वाला.
Mic.
हाँ, yalla.
मेरा mic गिर गया.
हाँ,
Sorry.
yalla habibi, yalla. हाँ.
My mic fell. for
So, my mic fell. Okay. Indian students are learning international
फट्टा मारा है.
relations. Indian students are learning international relations and diplomacy through Western constructs. Jai Shankar said this, agree or disagree. Bhai, see, once you become a great power, you build your own constructs. अभी तू मेरे को ये बता कि Indian construct क्या है हमको सीखने के लिए? What- tell me
Indian
what it-
construct होना चाहिए कि नहीं होना चाहिए?
होना तो चाहिए पर वो तभी आएगा people will only take it seriously. I can come up with Abhijit Iyer's formulation for stock investment. Will they listen to me? On the other hand, if Nitin Kamath or Mukesh Ambani come up with it, people will take it seriously.
हाँ, so there should be, no?
Yeah, but who's going to take me seriously?
No,
You're comparing India to
wha-
you.
I'm talking about Indian students, right?
So
Indian students, why are we-
Indian students need to learn whatever makes them successful. I learned all my humanities from the left, which is why I'm able to converse with them. You understand? You learn from the West. Constructs are what? Constructs are things that enable your wealth or your knowledge. To do that, you first have to conquer. ठीक है? उसके बाद अपना बनाओ.
अच्छा.
ठीक है? So we're confusing sequentiality with coloniality or decoloniality as the case may be. ठीक है?
Sushant,
this
do you
is a
agree with
sequence.
what Abhijit said?
Largely.
That
Largely.
is also fading. I didn't understand anything. सुनने में अच्छा लगा.
नहीं देखो.
Okay,
No,
did
what
I
he-
use too much jargon?
No,
Damn
what
it.
he's saying is largely
I was
correct.
speaking in Arabic.
The thing is that it's all very well to say that this is where we want to go, and I don't disagree with that. But then do it. Who's stopping you?
it's like saying history, right? I mean, when we talk about the Aryan invasion, when we talk about, Dravidians
आपको you have been brainwashed into a certain way. Look, let's face it. The West has dominated the world for 500 years. Okay? Naturally, they have had a domination over the mind space of people.
Huh.
And whatever research and other stuff has gone on in Western universities has filtered down in other universities. Whether it is economics, for example, most of us who've studied economics have studied economics from a Western lens.
Yeah.
It does not necessarily have the same application in India. Yes, the broad logic of Western economics holds, but India has its own economy. Where has that theoretical construction been made of how the Indian economy really works? Some people have done some work on it, but it's not become something which is applicable world over. It can never be, because we are not a world power. The day you are one of those world powers, then your international relations theory will also be from an Indian perspective. Now, if
Is
you
an
go back,
Indian
if you go back
perspective,
2000,
is it time we have an Indian perspective?
Smita.
1 second, yeah, let me get other points of view
Then
also.
एक minute.
Jaldi se,
If you
हाँ.
go back 2000 years, when India was a kind of a dominant power, right? You have people who came out with stuff. Take a Chanakya, for example. The original political scientist in many ways. That's still applicable today. But can you apply Chanakya Niti today?
Can we? Do you think that we should have an India
I
perspective?
think it has
we
to
should
be, as the phrase goes, suck it and see. I mean, for example, it will be fallacy for people to say just because things were said 2000 years ago, they're no longer valid. I mean, Newton's laws are still valid.
Huh.
So many of Chanakya's policies and his formulations would still be valid,
Right.
but not all of them.
Yeah.
So you have to go, bit by bit, domain by domain, and see what functions best. And this is where I will disagree with Paji. I think one of the greatest, our gift to the world, scientifically speaking, is this phrase Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. I can see him already rising from his chair and saying, "मैं अभी देखता हूँ बाहर आ, तू बाहर मिल तू मुझे." But
No,
honestly,
but you represent the
we
scientific
believe the
community
world
among
is
all
a
of
family.
us. Yeah.
And look at Indians. 99% of the health benefits that we've got out of drugs and vaccines, COVID vaccine le lo, okay, other than Covaxin, even that the technology was foreign technology, Covishield, everything is coming from outside of India. We are benefiting from it. World is a family for us. So I don't believe in this brain drain anymore. And B, I really don't believe in that Indian has formulated this theory. Let us put it to, function out here for us. No, whatever works best for us.
Collaborative.
Yeah.
Okay. Last question from your...
this
We've
is
all
interesting.
finished, right?
Yeah.
Okay, your question.
How heartbroken were you when India lost the cricket finals? What's your take on the Panoti controversy? I think the Panoti controversy was nonsensical. And I think every time these guys come up with these nonsensical formulations, it backfires. I think they should stop doing it. They should focus more on more substantive political issues. Heartbroken? Yeah, one really wanted India to win. They played a fabulous...
Is cricket just a game? Like, were you
Of course it's
watching
just a
that
game, yeah.
at that stage? No, you had fighter aircraft going, you had
But
pundits
they
that
look-
did
the
that thing.
commercialization.
Why should you not do it?
I'm not saying it should or should not. What I'm saying is that the build-up, was there any need for that?
Yeah, why
Yeah.
not?
Yeah.
Why not? Why not?
I mean, you look at the NFL.
Yeah, look,
The
we should
interval
do...
where they have those 10 minutes.
Yeah.
It's like $200 million.
Boss, here is... my point is a very simple... we are Indians, yaar. We will do our own tamasha. We will do... Abhijit has been tweeting something and I completely agree with him. The new Air India logo on the planes.
Yeah,
right?
I know.
And then you
We
came
call
up...
it the three nipples.
One second. Yeah, एक मिनट बक ना कर. चुप रह.
खा लेंगे.
But you came up with some design somebody had made, the peacocks and stuff like that. Those were stunningly beautiful.
Yeah, they were
right?
beautiful.
Stunningly beautiful.
Who came
So
up with those?
That
I
is
don't know, some
Some
that is
random
that is
person,
an
yeah.
Indian way of doing things, right?
Yeah.
That is what we should be into.
Yeah.
So we should not be ashamed of what we are.
हाँ.
हम तमाशा करते हैं. We,
Yeah.
like
The great
a
Indian
big
wedding.
fat Punjabi
Wedding, yes.
right? We do all of that,
Yeah.
and that is us. And
But
I don't
the
see why
silly
we
thing
need to
is
be.
The pitch has been rated yesterday as below average.
What?
The World Cup final
World
pitch
Cup final
Huh.
has been
Yesterday.
rated below average yesterday.
Yeah, you can
Do all. That's nitpicking.
I don't even care about it. But you can say it was below average, it was above average,
But
whatever
I
it was.
think more-
the World Cup was an immensely successful
It
World
was
Cup.
a great
I think the
World
Indian
Cup.
team was a fabulous team. They played a fabulous World Cup. They had
were the
one
best
bad
team.
day.
And
everyone was heartbroken.
And I think it was also
but I think
nice.
everybody took them.
And I
in
think
their
it was
stride.
also nice that the Prime Minister did go in the dressing room despite the
I agree.
criticism. And when I visualize, I think if ABC was Prime Minister, he would go. Why not? And whoever.
Whoever.
The French
It's
president.
ABC. I thought you said
No,
OVC.
anybody. No, ABC. OVC, please. OVC should not be sitting anywhere near Parliament or Assembly. And
भैया,
by
वो
the way,
speaker
that
बन
Macron-
चुका था वो.
And
This is
Macron went
Islamophobia.
into the French dressing room when France lost. Nobody said that Macron is trying to get
Panotti.
publicity.
What's the
Panotti
French for Panotti?
Was trying to get publicity.
Panoi.
I don't know.
No, so I think leaders should do it. I think he went cured
Like
his voice. It's
Hercule
fine.
Poirot.
A femme fatale.
Oh God.
Okay,
That
I
goes
get-
with Macron.
I get the last question. Even the BJP did not think that they would win in 3 out of 4 states. What worked for them? What went wrong for the Congress? I think we've already discussed
they
this.
actually
right?
had that confidence.
They had the confidence that
I
they would
did
win.
not, but they did.
Do you think that
The OBC factor went terribly wrong for the Congress. They started. One thing that went very wrong for the Congress is these YouTubers who went there.
oh God, yes.
उसका तो
And
एक कांग्रेस वाले ने
और
पैसा
उसका
भी बनाया ना,
वो
several
सब मुझे
Congress
नहीं
people
पता
उसका
वो सब
पैसा
मुझे नहीं
बनाए।
पता मुझे उन
हाँ,
कंट्रोवर्सीज
क्या
में
हुआ
नहीं-
वो यूट्यूबर कोई
मुझ-
फंस
मुझ-
गया था ना कोई
मुझे ये सब नहीं पता
होटल में फंस गया वो
हाँ देखो
यूट्यूबर
यूट्यूबर मैं
वो
बताता हूँ
story
नो
बताओ।
नेम्स
Yeah, we have to hear the
नो
story.
नेम्स मैं बताता हूँ क्या हुआ एक कांग्रेस पर्सन फर्स्ट tied up all these YouTubers to go cover this, okay, and they took a share of the what was meant to be distributed. But then they double dipped because they went to all these polling agencies and said ये बना बना माहौल है, so you will able to be tailor your polling in order to suit this, okay, so they double dipped, and this was 2-3 people, but only one double dipped. Then what happened was कि there was one of these so-called YouTubers, alleged journalist, who stayed at the Taj or something like that for patani God knows how many months. months. Eating Taj ka khana, creating this mahal. ठीक है? Now
But
the problem
who
is
also preaches a lot of socialism.
all of them do. So what happened then was ki this person came out, and this is a Delhi media gossip exclusive. I want you to remember that. This is the only branding allowed, non-ANI branding allowed on this program. Please follow Delhi media gossip.
And please do this. That should be your logo.
And the logo, the theme sound for it is
theme sound.
And what happens is, so this person has racked up bills of close to about 25 lakhs.
Oh my
Of which
God.
about 10 were paid from the
Gorgeous.
this thing distribution.
Beautiful.
15 is still outstanding. So this person went to one of the failed candidates and say, भाई साहब ये मेरा bill है, क्या होगा? जैसे तेरे को chief minister लगता हूँ, चल फुट यहाँ से. Then they went to another member of the party and said, भाई साहब या बहन जी whatever, ये मेरा bill है. They're like, मैं क्या तेरे को ये लगता हूँ, चल फुट यहाँ से. So now this person is on Twitter tweeting against every single candidate saying dhoka, 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 in the hope that somebody will find some use for him and give him some money.
And pay his bills.
And pay his bills. Because he is in no position to pay those bills right
So
now.
if, now 1 second, now this can't be gossip anymore. You have to name the person because you say the person's on Twitter.
No.
No. There's no
We can
need to
name the person.
Boss, you know how many
थोड़े और
million
hints
Twitter
दे देना.
users
This
there
is
are?
too. थोड़े और hint. एक hint दे दे.
नहीं, no.
A man or a woman? Is the person a man or a
Also,
woman?
after these results came out, the way that some people who were this group went for each other, there was this cabal which was together.
Mrs. Klepto went after.
They went for each other. That how dare you, this party, Congress party, which was listening to this journalist, now see what has happened. Suddenly the blame was not on the people who had lost the election, but the unofficial advisors to the Congress party.
My mom.
Then there was a WhatsApp
My
group.
mom said
That WhatsApp group, because everybody was trying to rat everybody else on that WhatsApp group to prove that everybody else was there. Every second person on that group was sharing screenshots of it to everybody else.
That's true.
Selectively chosen to frame somebody else, not themselves for it. And what then happens in that WhatsApp group is, it gets disbanded or half the people get kicked out because it's just random kicking out of people who, I don't like this person, I don't like that person, so I'm going to kick out this person.
So much of meltdown happens,
So that
no?
WhatsApp
After
group is
every-
now reduced from originally some 300, 400 members.
There wasn't 300, 400. It was 30, 40 people.
Whatever, to some now
30 to
9 or
33.
10 members. It's been reduced to, because everyone's been kicked out.
इतना meltdown.
No, there were 100,
Election
150.
हारे बेचारे कमलनाथ जी और बाघेल. And meltdown happens in WhatsApp groups
But it's
of
interesting,
people
you know,
who
there
are
was
just...
this independent media election coverage, 5 or 6 of these rank gutter press yellow journalists got together and said, please listen to us on the YouTube. 5 of us are these portals, Okay. The immediacy with which they started blaming Kamal Nath is unbelievable. Unbelievable.
But I have to admit, I didn't watch any of you. I only watched that portal because I went
You
there for
gave the thing.
meltdowns.
If you want to enjoy the election coverage, please
He was
watch
also
that
watching
thing.
it. I can tell you exclusively, Delhi media gossip exclusive. That Fatso was also watching it. And what happened was, I can tell you, even at its peak, it had 2,000 viewers. More often than not, it had between 600 to 800 viewers.
And the comments.
And the comment section, I can promise you only 20% of that were actual viewers. The rest of them were all our people out there
Enjoying.
putting moe. And it turns out that the original song is some Serbian or Czech or some Slavic song, which isn't even moe. It's moe more. But they heard it as moe, so everything is moe.
Everything became, but the earlier elections, I remember you guys used to just watch NDTV.
Yes.
Now you have no fun watching NDTV.
No.
Now you're going for
honestly,
these guys.
Yes.
Now you're watching these guys.
Yeah.
But you can be sure that after we finish this podcast, there will be an episode in which they are dissing us. And then there'll be one on the national media scene who will diss us
Well,
also.
I want to see who gets
Who's-
more viewers.
The Mysore, the guy
The
who said
Mysore
Mysore
Pak
Pak.
Caucus. Yes. He's very upset with that.
Why?
So, पता नहीं यार, सबको
But
बहुत
see,
दुख होता है.
we should give them that because
Yeah.
you see the funding is drying up. One of their funders has been completely blacklisted by the government. And
This
you
is
see-
again gossip, okay?
It's complete gossip. I don't know who we're talking about. I'm just speculating, ruminating generally. And
But
you,
you have to give the background score whenever you talk of gossip.
sorry. And another one is this, this cross-eyed individual who unfortunately hasn't had corrective surgery. I think this person was brought up, I think the person's parents were Maya religion followers from Mesoamerica. Because, Maya concept of beauty
I'm
was
not hearing
the moment the child was born. The moment the child was born, they would dangle something in front of the baby's eyes. So, the baby kind of became like this. If you could zoom in on me, the baby kind of became like this. It would become cross-eyed like this. And the Maya nobility, it was a must. Head elongation and the Maya nobility, the cockeyed this thing, this was a must to become Maya king. The Maya king was called the Aho. To become Aho, you had to be cockeyed and things like that. So I think this person's been deliberately brought up to be cockeyed, you see. It's quite
But
sharp.
पूछ
Daily
कौन
gossip,
है?
you're not
Why do
supposed
we
to-
want
इसके
to
बाद-
know?
I don't
कौन
know who
है?
we're talking about. I was generally talking about.
Okay.
Say, just to set the record straight, last time when we had our podcast, it's a point of order for you.
हाँ.
हमने ये डिसाइड किया था कि हवाई में होगा.
हाँ, बाहर जाएंगे. स्मिता,
हमने बाइडेन को भी बोला था
फिर
कि
क्या हुआ?
हमको
देखो अगर हवाई नहीं तो कम से कम
हरियाणा।
मॉलडीव्स के सेंट रीजस में तो होना चाहिए.
हवाई से
but
हरियाणा
this is we are in Hatyans, which is Haryana Lutyans.
Hatyans.
We are in Hatyans.
Okay, thank you Anand, thank you Tehseen, thank you Abhijit or Abhijit
Orijit,
Orijit,
Oritra.
Okay, Oritra. Thank you Sushant. On that note, Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to all our viewers. Thank you for watching or listening to this edition of ANI Podcast with Smita Prakash. Do like or subscribe on whichever channel you have seen this or heard this. Namaste, Jai Hind. Click here to watch the previous episodes.